In the center of the universe called the Nine Edicts Rift, there is a gigantic golden staff resembling the Ruyi Jingu Bang floating there. Right at the end of the golden staff was a person bound by several clothes hanging up, and that man was none other than the main character named Ye Xuan. He had been asleep for a very, very long time, until finally, after tens of thousands of years had passed, he woke up and opened his eyes. When he woke up, his head hurt, which was probably a side effect of him sleeping for tens of thousands of years. Even so, he still clearly remembered the incident before he fell asleep for a very long time. In the past, he was attacked by thousands of divine soldiers led by a divine sovereign named Hao Tian in an ambush tens of thousands of years ago to seize his throne. At that time, his soul was destroyed, making it impossible to claim that he was still alive. However, the fact that he was now able to move was enough to explain that he was still alive, and his soul could be restored. The soul itself is divided into 9 characters. Among others, the first is Lin or procedure. The second is Bing or soldier. The third is Dao or fighting. The fourth is Ze or person. The fifth is Jie or all. The sixth is Zhen or array. The seventh is Lai or column. The eighth is Qian or front. And the ninth is Xing or line. All of them are one unit that can also be called as 9 edicts. Unfortunately, all the power from his soul was broken, and only the edict Lin was left. What he wants to do to start over and get his revenge is to restore all of his edicts first. Ye Xuan then summoned some kind of system called 9 Edicts Rift, and immediately his body emitted a bright light, and the black sky faded into a blue sky as if he was in another place. It was like he was sent to the mortal world or the human world, and Ye Xuan believed that the continent below was a place where he could recover his edicts and character, so he immediately rushed out for revenge. In a place called Li Yuan Jian Pavilion, a great battle had just occurred there. Many of the sect's disciples had already fallen, while the profound master Lei Lei had even been seriously injured, although he didn't want to give up so easily. He was accompanied by his son named Li Yi Ming with several other students. And as for what attacked them, it was the Blood Sword sect, led by the ancestor or the ancestor directly. Lei Lei himself received a backlash from his cultivating sword technique, which caused him to be struck by lightning from the sky. It was common knowledge, and the ancestor thought that it was a good opportunity for his sect to join the 10 major sects by eliminating sects. Belonged to Lei Lei, accompanied by the eerie laughter of her students. In his opinion, the destruction of Lei Lei's sect was a certain fate, and Lei Lei should just give up so he could give her a proper death. However, Lei Lei didn't want to give up and told the ancestor to stop dreaming of defeating her. "Even if I die today, I want you to feel the wrath of the thunder, you bastard," Lei Lei said as she sent down a bolt of lightning that struck herself. Lei Lei seemed intent on fighting to the death for the honor of her sect. The lightning then splattered his body, emitting an extraordinary aura. And it was the final form of the technical sword art he had just learned. The disciples of the Blood Sword sect panicked, for they knew that this technique was the ultimate form of the powerful sword art. They wanted to run away, but the ancestor then asked everyone to calm down and watched Lei Lei, who according to her forced herself to use this strongest sword technique. Sure enough, like a boomerang effect, Lei Lei's body visibly deteriorated as blood started to flow out of her nose, and it completely exerted an extremely heavy pressure. Li Yiming also cried worriedly seeing his father's condition like that, while Lei Lei then asked him not to worry. Lei Lei finally concentrated all her strength into her sword until blood was pouring out of her eyes, showing just how much pressure was created by the technique she was about to unleash. Lei Lei also chanted an incantation, and thunder then split the sky directly above the Blood Sword ancestor. The ancestor wondered about the phenomenon he witnessed right in front of his eyes. Did it cause a thunderstorm? Did he complete the technique, damn it? We said the ancestor in a panic. While Lei Lei was trying to hold on as best she could, her body felt like it was about to break down, and she ended up vomiting blood. Lei Lei seemed to have been unable to endure the intense pressure any longer, so she finally collapsed. Li Yiming was getting more and more anxious looking at his father, while the thunder that split the sky then started to fade naturally as Lei Lei fell. The Blood Sword ancestor finally breathed a sigh of relief at the failure. After signaling his sect's victory, the ancestor laughed mockingly, saying, "In the end, you still can't do it. But don't worry, I'll lead you to the path of death," said the ancestor. The Blood Sword sect's disciples immediately got ready, while Lei Lei's sect's disciples asked Li Yiming to immediately go and take the lead away, and they will fight to protect them. Li Yiming was touched by their determination, while Lei Lei was furious as she asked herself, "Is my lightning sword sect going to be destroyed today?" she said, and then thunder suddenly appeared from behind the black clouds. It was obvious that the thunder had not been summoned by Leilai, as even she was very surprised to see it. The thunder then flashed towards the group of blood sword disciples as if the sky was falling. Of course, it caused a tremendous panic, and the next moment the butt of thunder also then grabbed the blood sword ancestor, who had not been able to react in the slightest. Li Yiming was overjoyed to think his father's technique had succeeded, while Leilai was speechless at the fact that her previous technique had failed. So did the other students, who had the same thoughts and thought that it was Leilai's technique that had brought down the thunder. However, they didn't know that there was a figure behind the archipelago of smoke generated by the thunder, and that person was Ye Xuan, who accidentally killed the blood sword ancestor. Everyone was very surprised because it was not natural. Regardless of who shot the thunder, it was something so vicious that just imagining that person could live after falling with that thunder already showed how strong Ye Xuan was. Li Yiming was confused as to how someone could suddenly appear from behind the thunder, and Leilai guessed that he must be in the almighty Yang realm. They realized that Ye Xuan was an extremely overpowered person, and meanwhile, he himself was silently staring at the shining hands that formed the character Lin, one of the 9 edicts. That character was made from practicing all kinds of training in the world, so Ye Xuan thought that maybe he should start his path of vengeance with lots of training in this mortal world. And then Leilai and the rest of her disciples suddenly paid respects to him, asking for his help, promising to give him whatever he wanted as long as Ye Xuan was willing to help kill the blood sword ancestor. As they expected, it turned out that the ancestor was quite formidable, as he hadn't died even after being struck by lightning. But surprisingly, Ye Xuan immediately refused their request because he didn't want to interfere, and the purpose of his coming here was not to fight. Ye Xuan instead asked, he attacked. "There must be a reason, right? So have you guys done something wrong?" he said. The blood sword ancestor, who finally regained consciousness, misunderstood that Ye Xuan was the savior of the Li Yuan sect. "But did you ever think that he alone would be able to take on hundreds of sect disciples in my area?" The ancestor laughed, and then activated a combined spell. Something like blood gushed out from all the students, like blood blades, and then formed into the shape of a death skull. It was none other than the blood sword sect's own strongest technique, which was said to even be able to shatter the heavens. There were even rumors saying the blood sword ancestor was capable of slaying strongmen in the Sun Realm. Thus, Leilai immediately warned Ye Xuan that this technique was extremely dangerous, telling him to flee immediately. But of course, Ye Xuan didn't care. He said that he had nothing to do with this Li Yuan sword sect, nor did he want to get involved in the blood sword sect's fight. But the blood sword ancestor completely ignored Ye Xuan's words, and he then launched his death sword technique toward Ye Xuan. Ye Xuan still didn't move an inch from his spot, and intended to block the attack with just his finger, while asking them not to blame him, since they dared to attack him. "You idiot. The disciples of the blood sword sect feel that there will be nothing left. Everything will be over soon. So what if you are in the almighty Yang realm, under my blood sword that can shatter the heavens that opened up a problem? Today, after Ye Xuan destroyed, no one can stop me," shouted the ancestor as the blade of death finally devoured Ye Xuan. He was so confident, didn't realize who he was fighting. Sure enough, Ye Xuan proved to be able to block his attack with just one finger, which made him very surprised, as well as Li Yiming and Leilai, who had the same excited shock. "You want to kill me with trash like this? Your joke is not funny," Ye Xuan said. Ye Xuan moved his finger to suppress the blood sword sect's strongest attack, smashing it into pieces as if they were trash, something that was impossible for the average person to do, let alone bare hands. The ancestor started asking questions, and Ye Xuan replied he was the one who would end his life. Ye Xuan immediately kicked his chin first, not caring about his words anymore, so that the ancestor was flung very far away, obviously making the blood sword disciples very panicked. The ancestor's head hung from the far end of the wall and was killed in one kick. That's how could the ancestor be killed with just one move? Even a technique and means that could shatter the heavens couldn't kill this kid. Could he be the strongest person in the almighty Yang realm, the disciples thought? Ye Xuan then glanced at them, his gaze that wanted to say, "Don't dare to mess around if you don't want to be killed." Really, intimidation so intense that even the blood sword disciples then immediately fled very quickly. Everyone cheered for the victory, but unlike them, Leilai still couldn't rest easy because it was still too early to say it was all over. During this battle, the disciples suffered heavy casualties. Their vitality was also heavily injured, and now even I am also injured. If there is another enemy attacker, we won't be able to survive. said Lei Lei, looking at the speechless Li Yiming. Ye Xuan himself was confused because he wasn't too familiar with the mortal world, and thought that he needed to collect all kinds of martial arts practice to refine his 9 edicts. But where should I go to get them? He thought confusedly. Lei Lei then called out to him while mustering all the aura she had. Do you guys want to find trouble with me as well? Ye Xuan said, as he mustered his strength to respond to them. But then Lei Lei and the rest of the disciples immediately prostrated. We Li Yuan sect would like to serve you as master. Please become the new sect leader, they said in unison. Ye Xuan was speechless in confusion, then asked them why it had to be like that. Why should I be your master? Lei Lei also replied, because it was that she was able to kill the blood sword ancestor today. And I cannot repay this great master's kindness but by having you as our newest leader. I can at least express this gratitude, she said. I also believe under Ye Xuan's leadership, surely this sect will gain the honor of the top 10 sects, like it was in its heyday in the past, Lei Lei countered. You guys are also very good at putting words together, but in the end, you just wanted to take advantage of me by making me your master out of worry about how humans would appear in the future instead of Ye Xuan's reply, leaving Lei Lei dumbfounded because it was true. Even so, Lei Lei still has a backup plan. Lord, don't you joke? If this incident spreads out, no one will dare to challenge Master anymore. Moreover, Li Yuan is also one of the top sects, and there are many resources such as medicine, gems, armory, and also there are several places with abundant spiritual aura in the south. You will also benefit greatly from the sect. Also, we will try our best to fulfill whatever request you have. We will always be loyal and very obedient as long as you are willing to stay in the sect. This with the father and son kept asking Ye Xuan to think about it carefully. But unfortunately, Ye Xuan has no interest in what they all said. But I just want to know how the techniques this sect has, he said. Lei Lei also replied that this sect had 1 copy of the tag in the Thunder Sword training, which was high sword techniques, and the rest were techniques at the basic low level only. Apparently, this sect is still small, and probably won't have what I want. Looks like I should look elsewhere, Ye Xuan thought. The disciples of the Li Yuan sect quickly realized that he seemed uninterested, knowing that he only had many low-level training techniques. Also that the Thunder Sword was only a remnant of the top number 1 sword. Hearing that, Ye Xuan flinched because there was a lowly training technique, and that was what he wanted to learn. Ye Xuan then asked, really? How many textbooks did this sect have? And Lei Lei answered that there were at least 60,000 books in the library, 30,000 books in the pavilion, and around 10,000 in the Elders' Hall. And there were also several editions for a total of over 100,000 scriptures. An incomparably large number that was simply shocking to Ye Xuan. Lei Lei then asked him how was it because our Thunder Technique's skill level was too low that Master didn't like him. Master, if it's true that you need high-quality training, I will immediately spend a lot of money to buy it from outside. Even if it means selling the property of the sect, I will still doing so. Lei Lei also kept trying to convince Ye Xuan. And Ye Xuan then replied that there was no need. I just want that low-level training technique to reply. Lei Lei was confused as to why she would even want such lowly tactics, and Ye Xuan grabbed her shoulder and declared himself willing to accept her offer to become the new sect master. Of course, Lei Lei agreed without thinking twice, and that was how Ye Xuan would become the new sect master. While Ye Xuan finally decided to accept Lei Lei's offer, a few moves followed from the spiritual master named Ming Sha, who was very famous as the bloodthirsty killer of the eastern wilderness. He dashed very fast, as if in a hurry to make those who saw him became very curious, because from his destination, he moved to the Yuan sector. People then followed him out of curiosity what would happen, and turned back to the Yuan sect. All of the sect's disciples had started training normally since the previous raid. The relationships between the students had become stronger, and everyone had become more motivated to train, so that meant the impact of the attack wasn't completely bad, but rather in a positive direction. Lei Lei also felt happy about it, feeling that everything was thanks to Ye Xuan saving the sect. The father and son felt so much trust in him. No one else would dare to mess around because of him. But unfortunately, it turned out that his thoughts were wrong. Sure enough, right after that, an attack then came ravaging the students who were practicing. That made Lei Lei and Li Yiming very surprised. They wondered about who was so daring, and it turned out to be Ming Sha. Lei Lei quickly recognized him as he was quite a famous person. Lei Lei then asked him why he had come to cause trouble, even though he shouldn't have any grudges. Ming Sha also replied that it was because he was asked by someone to kill someone in the Yuan sect. But of course finding one person is very troublesome. So I have decided to just kill you all. Otherwise this way I won't have to waste time looking for words. Lei then asked who exactly was she looking for, while people started to arrive. Basically, they were just spectators who came having previously seen Ming Sha on his way. They felt sympathy for the Li Yuan sect for being under such heavy attacks, thinking that perhaps they would not survive. Li Yiming panicked, asking his father to call Ye Xuan immediately. Lei said that Ming Sha is at the 3rd level of the Yang realm, and also the number 1 in the land of the north. Even though Master Ye Xuan is also at the Yang realm, he can't possibly match Dao Master Ming Sha, and we can't let Lord Ye Xuan die, Lei said. Li Yiming then asked, then what should be done? And Lei replied, somehow it seems there isn't much we can do to stop our sect's destruction this time around. I will endure it anyway, and you immediately report this matter to Master Ye Xuan, hoping he will want to take our sect's disciples away to a safe place, Lei retorted. Li Yiming was speechless, worrying about his father, and Lei then told him to just leave because he wasn't sure he could hold him long enough. You guys don't need to try so hard to escape. Today you all will die in my hands. And just like that, Ming Sha launched a powerful attack from his trident. It was the strongest energy surge in the wilds of the north. It was said that even the 3 strongest people can stop it. Even the onlookers felt that the Li Yuan sect would surely perish, but that also seemed to be an arbitrary thought, as a voice suddenly said, where did this buzzing fly that ruined my peace and tranquility come from? Ye Xuan immediately slammed his hellish fist towards Ming Sha, who was clearly very surprised. So did father and son Li, also had the same shock at seeing the attack. The hellfire brought down Ming Sha, producing an extremely strong shockwave. From inside the room saw Ye Xuan, who was sitting leisurely spreading one of his arms. He was originally reading a book leisurely, and that was how he completely regarded Ming Sha as an insect that was not worth looking at. Back to the outer side of the sect, a huge commotion ensued, as the sudden attack killed Ming Sha, the strongest person in the northern region. They were all confused as to who was capable enough to do so. But unlike them, father and son Li clearly realized right away that it must be Master Ye Xuan who has saved them once again. So when Master Ye Xuan comes out later, we must do our best to please him. We must fulfill whatever needs he asks to understand, Lei reminded her son, who quickly understood. Lord Ye Xuan, to kill a stranger with a single move with incomparable grace and terror, is a very rare thing to happen. How could I not respect and worship such a powerful person from the bottom of my heart, said Li Yiming. Ye Xuan finally came out of his room, a total of 2 days since he received the offer to become the sect master, and during that time he finished reading hundreds of thousands of extremely abnormal books. As usual, it clearly made the Li father and son very surprised. But Ye Xuan realized that his spiritual part had been corrupted, so it was only 1 in 10,000 of his prime, because if it wasn't damaged he would be able to understand it with just one thought. So I'm just wasting a bit of time, Ye Xuan said. Li's father and son were shocked to hear that. While Lei initially thought that Ye Xuan was in the almighty Yang realm, maybe because it was the highest Rana that humans could reach, she also asked if Ye Xuan had reached the peak, and Ye Xuan answered that he had missed it for a long time. The father and son were even more surprised to hear that because the sun was the highest realm they knew about. But Ye Xuan didn't really care either, because his business was done. He then said goodbye, causing the two to panic. I originally only stayed to read martial arts books, but now that I have finished it, of course I have to go. So is there any problem? Replied Ye Xuan. Lei was speechless too, because that was the original deal they agreed at first, thinking it would definitely take Ye Xuan years to finish all the books. All right, you don't need to think about protecting me. I will find a place with lots of martial arts books to stay. Ye Xuan walked away and heard that Lily also had a new idea. God, yes, I know that there is one place that has so many martial arts books and so many kinds of sect practices. We also still have cities to go in. So as long as Master he maintain the identity of Sigli Yuan, I can help Master to enter that place, said Lei. Ye Xuan also asked the name of the place. What is it? And Lei replied that if it was the Wandao Academy, the story moved afterwards to a sect called Cloudshine located in a high mountain. The disciple named Ling Yang then gave a report to the eldest as well as his father. When they saw Ming Sha being killed with one move, they couldn't believe it. Ling Yang also confirmed that it was indeed what happened. Many people saw them die by the fire of hell. The eldest, who turned out to be called Ling Sheng, obviously couldn't believe it. Only because it felt impossible for him, He was also emotional thinking. How could the Li Wen sect have such a strong person? He then ordered Ling Yang to immediately tell the other higher-ups to prepare themselves because it turned out that he was the blood that sent Ming Shan. Ling Yang then asked him to take it easy. Based on the information, Yeshuan was not coming. He was going to Wandra Academy under the recommendation of Li Yuan, he said. Ling Sheng can also be a bit relieved, thinking maybe Yeshuan doesn't know his identity yet. However, I still have to find a way to get rid of this Yeshuan as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will never be able to destroy Li Yuan and complete the 100-year plan. But father, even though Wandao Academy itself is separated from the world and has become independent from the 10 great sects, we will not be able to interfere in this matter, Ling Yang replied. Interpreting if perhaps the rules of the academy is pretty cool, but even so has a plan over the years when we have also recommended many students of the Wandao Academy. Although most of them were imperfect, there were still strong people who had grown into elite academy students, he said. Father, are you talking about my elder brother? But will he help us? Asked Ling Yang. Your senior brother is indeed so arrogant and feels the most powerful. We only need to tell him that Yeshuan, who is called the first genius in the wilds of the north, and he will naturally help us revenge. After going to the Wandao Academy, it was seen that many new students had gathered, with one of them being Yeshuan. So for the sake of helping themselves, it was directly supervised by the top 10. So the academy could also be a breakthrough for students to enter the upper sector, so that all students naturally had determination strong enough to attract attention, especially Qianyuan Li sect's #1 sect. However, it was clearly different from them. Yeshuan was completely caring inside, and what he wanted was only one thing, which was to read books. Not long after, someone then came along with thunder, right in front of the new students from Back to the Moon of Smoke, then seen by someone named Lin Kun, who was the war leader of Wandao Academy. In short, he was the person who was given the responsibility to pick up and guide the students. The academy's new student, he was apparently also a very famous person. So just by looking at him, the new students felt very happy. And soon someone walked down from behind a very beautiful person named Yang Kaiyu, who quickly made many men crazy about her beauty and grace. Yeshuan was even happy to see her. After all, she was really beautiful. Linkun then asked Kaiyu what he wanted to do because he shouldn't be assigned to pick up new students. Kaiyu replied that, if you just want to have a look. Are there any good seeds? Don't waste your efforts. Going to join our combat class, it was impossible to choose a pure class that was useless. Even Kaiyu was speechless. So it seemed that Kaiyu was a high-ranking member of the refining team who might have come to attract attention. However, Lincoln then asked all the new students to follow him because of the holding of the entrance ceremony that was about to start. All the new disciples complied, and Yeshuan quickly realized that if possible later, they will be asked to choose a class such as purification, combat, and whatever it is. The new students then follow the Lincoln to enter the academy until the end. Until at the main courtyard, there was a very large statue of none other than the statue of the academy's founder named Li Qingfeng. Yeshuan smiled because it turned out that he knew him first. Several times Yeshuan and he used to read books together, so even he was surprised to know that he had now established an academy. And before going any further, Lincoln then warned the new students that now is the last chance if you want to leave the academy. The students were confused about what he meant, and Lincoln then only replied that you will find out for yourself. Sounds like quite dangerous, but still no students who left. Lincoln also thought that meant that everyone was ready, and he then asked all the new students to pay their respects to the founder of the academy. All the students immediately obeyed to pay their respects to the great dean. The unexpected thing happened. The statue of the founder emitted quite an extraordinary aura. The aura then shook the air around. The aura then threw several new students. There were at least 2 people. The 2 people were then swallowed up by the spiritual founder. When the light dimming, what came into view were the 2 figures of the demon wolves. So it turns out that the statue of the founder harbors some kind of power to dismantle the true form of anyone who pays respect to it. All the students were confused about how that could happen, why there could be a devil, then explained that the statue of the founder was indeed connected to the founder himself, also had the power to discern the truth that was able to return everyone to their original appearance. Lin Kun then called for the guards to bring the 2 demons to the beginning of the law enforcement, and several bodyguards then came. It put quite a bit of pressure on some students. Knowing how strict the academy was made them not want to mess around. But amidst that, there was one person who didn't seem to care at all to even pay homage. That was Yeshuan. Lincoln then asked him why he didn't pay respects, and Yeshuan asked back, Does it really have to be Lincoln also confirmed that? It must be done or I have to think of you as a devil, he said. Yeshuan finally had no other choice, and he paid his respects, and a moment later something shocking happened. A thunder appeared from behind the sky, and the thunder then struck the statue of the Academy's founder, splitting it in two. Both Lincoln and Caillou were clearly very surprised to see him. So was it obvious that the other students were too? Then, in a very, very dark island, there was a person standing in front of a dragon, none other than Li Qingfeng, or the Academy's founder himself. He gasped just as the statue cracked. It seemed he was fighting against the dragon. He then created an incantation that was nothing but a barrier spell. As he realized something was coming, something that was nothing but thunder struck the dragon. Qingfeng became even more shocked because of the aura. That very familiar thunder was the familiar aura that he was sure belonged to Yeshuan. He laughed happily, realizing that if he had shown again that the two of them were close friends, considering that he himself had actually been asleep for more than hundreds of thousands of years, he should have also perhaps an immortal figure. And then a shocking thing happened when Yeshuan was giving a statue salute. That Li Qingfeng was cracked or split into two, obviously making a big fuss. People couldn't understand how could it happen suddenly, right when Yeshuan was being asked to salute. But all the disciples still couldn't believe it, because the Li Yuan sect was the lowest sect among the other 10 great sects. In other words, they all looked down on Yeshuan. Therefore, it was different from them. Lin Kun had been more open-minded. Moreover, he had previously heard that the Li Yuan sect sent out an extremely genius disciple. Of course, he was none other than Ling Yang Sr. The so-called Cloudshine sect leader before was exactly what they said. He was a very haughty person. He immediately expressed his disapproval only to Yeshuan. It was clear from the sea that his face was very angry. "Boy, how dare you destroy our first statue?" "About that, it wasn't brother himself who asked me to submit to him," replied Yeshuan, feeling it was useless to explain it, he wouldn't understand. "Bastard, how dare you mention Great Dean as him? You destroyed the statue with us and showed no sign of respect towards him. You must be a spy sent by the Devil's sect." He also pointed his sword. "It's true it's my fault this statue broke. But why does this kid look like he's deliberately picking trouble with me?" Yeshuan fell silent in bewilderment, and Lin Kun immediately attacked him using his silence as an excuse. "I'll assume you said yes, now I'll paralyze you and send you to the law enforcement hall," he said. The sword flew to Ye. The speechless Xuan, he really didn't understand why there were so many people bothering him who wanted to just read books, and suddenly someone then held back Lincoln. Someone who held his sword against sword produced enough spiritual explosions from the clash that someone was none other than Caillou, then asked Lincoln not to take the law into his own hands. He suggested to her to invite the teacher alone to solve the problem of handling the spy case from the Devil sect. "There's no room for kindness in something like this. Step aside or don't blame me for being rude," she replied. "That is the reason why I will stop you if you brother accidentally kill a guilty person? How will we explain this to sect? Is that what you're trying to say? We really need to bother explaining anything to the sect." "Shut up. Demon sect spies must be killed. If you still want to protect her, I will take you down with her. Now I will have the chance to knock out Chiayu, soon she will become my toy." This really is like hitting two birds with one stone, she thought. Caillou was furious at all of his words and behavior, and Yeshuan stopped him. "Thank you, senior brother, but I'll take it from here myself," he said. Caillou then tried to stop him, but Yeshuan no longer cared. "You will come to me yourself, brat. I wonder if I should say that you are brave or an idiot. Do you think you can withstand my 2 attacks, brat?" And Lincoln also exerted all his strength of the 5th level of the Sun Realm. The disciples began to worry about Yeshuan being so careless. But obviously Yeshuan didn't flinch and said, "The 5 Suns Realm was really shocking." He said. Lincoln retorted, "Didn't you use the wrong words? This should be something you yearn for. But there is no teacher anymore for you to yearn for anymore, because I will let you feel the power of a 5th stage sun cult." Lincoln slashed his sword. Caillou ordered Yeshuan to dodge, but Yeshuan didn't care at all. He just moved his 2 fingers and Lincoln's sword was completely destroyed. Lincoln was obviously very shocked, couldn't believe what had just happened. A slap felt right to his face, and he was knocked out of the egg with just one swing of the hand. Obviously made the disciples dumbfounded because that's how Lincoln was one of the strongest people who reached the 5th level. Caillou was amazed at Yeshuan, who was able to defeat the Lincoln so easily, while Yeshuan only sighed because even though like a normal slap it actually consumed quite a lot of his 9 character spell energy. However, his spiritual problems were disrupted, so it was quite troublesome. Ye felt that he had to quickly find a book before losing more of his energy. Turning to the other side, Lincoln was still holding his ground. He really couldn't believe he was defeated, because as far as he knew, most of the top disciples had only just reached the 4th stage, so he felt he should be the strongest as the 5th tier. And soon a teacher came, and obviously immediately became unacceptable because the founder's statue was destroyed. He was the new head of the academy. He walked closer to make Caillou defend Ye, who he thought was innocent. It was the head of the academy who came spontaneously direct. Lincoln then immediately reported Ye to him. He made false accusations, saying Ye had also attacked, claiming him to be a demon sect spy. Caillou then tried to defend Ye, saying he had actually suggested investigating first, and the head of the academy then told him to shut up. "That's enough, I'll talk to him," he said. Lincoln also laughed happily, feeling that Ye would not be able to survive. The headmaster then asked Ye whether it was true that he had destroyed the founding stone. Ye also admitted that was true, affirmed, but not a spy from the devil sect, and hearing that even the academy head was very angry. "I don't care if you are a demon spy or not, but you dare to destroy that standing statue already gave enough reason you don't respect our founder." The academy leader sent a spiritual flow into his hand, looking like Ye had no other choice. He then activated an incantation. The Lincoln laughed very happily at the sight, and then something unexpected happened. A spiritual stream shot from the sky right towards the chief. School. The principal then caught the spiritual flow with an object, and he immediately thought that it was a message from the founder, thinking that there must be some emergency. He then immediately read the contents of the message with great anxiety, and found that it was asking him not to make things difficult for Ye, but to treat him very well. Of course, it took Ye by surprise as a natural reaction, because after all, Ye was the one who destroyed statues. Lincoln was very curious about what kind of message he got. While Lincoln didn't care at all, he was quite sure that it would not change Ye destiny of punishment. So Ye was also prepared to accept. Head of the academy. But it was clear at the same time that he realized the risks of not being able to enter the academy, and the representative finally opened his mouth. Lincoln and Caillou were worried. Ye only looked silent. Then the deputy dean held Ye shoulder and he smiled. "I'm not too worried, may I know your name," he said. The sudden change in behavior obviously made everyone surprised, especially the Lincoln. As far as he knew, the deputy with that was supposed to be the most loyal person to the academy's founder. So he was clearly at a loss as to how to treat Ye well. Different from Lincoln, Caillou was happy to see him. He felt that it was because the deputy dean knew if Ye was the one who did it. His positive thoughts clearly made Lincoln even more annoyed. And meanwhile, Ye was silent because he also had the same shock deputy dean. He then convinced her to take it easy, asked once again what his name was, and Ye then introduced himself as Ye. The deputy dean then asked him not to be afraid anymore. The statue of the founder, after standing for a very long time, must have been damaged by time, so it's not your fault, he said. Ye was confused because the killing aura suddenly disappeared, and Lincoln then expressed his protest by saying that Ye was the one who made a mistake. There was clearly spiritual energy in the founder statue that could keep it firm. How could it be damaged with age? Of course, Ye was the one who destroyed him, he said. Deputy Dean then looked at him sarcastically and exerted very strong spiritual power in response. "And do you dare to ask me?" he said, and his spiritual power then gushed into the sky. Lincoln finally couldn't do anything, as if there was a very strong gravity. He finally knelt down to apologize, begging for mercy. The students were scared because they could feel how heavy the pressure was, even though they weren't the target. Deputy Dean himself is indeed at the pinnacle of the Sun Realm, so it's only natural that he could easily subdue a Linchon at the 5th level. I'll say this once. What happened to that statue wasn't Ye. All right, Ye, now that the statue issue has been resolved, so please don't have any thoughts of leaving the academy anymore. Therefore, the deputy dean smiled back. Ye then thanked him. Even though he still failed to understand the sudden change in conditions, Deputy Dean then left after asking the students to continue following his ceremony. Also paused to stare at the statue of the founder of the academy to express his thoughts. For a moment, "I don't know why you are so considerate of Ye. Master even contacted me for the first time. So in order to fulfill your orders, I will take good care of him," Deputy Dean thought. And seeing that Ye quickly realized that it must have something to do with Xing Feng because they were indeed old friends. And meanwhile, the aura of hatred still exists in Ling-kun. He still feels himself to be the greatest, so it's clear he still doesn't accept Ye Xuan. Most of them actually agree with Ling-kun. The statue might be destroyed just because of trivial matters such as aging. That reason is ridiculous, but no one dares to refute it. They only feel that Ye Xuan is also lucky, and some even think if he might be the son of the deputy dean himself. They also began to feel sorry for the Lincoln who had lost face because of Ye Xuan, and hearing that, the Lincoln was clearly furious. "Shut up, all you bastards! We will soon proceed to the second ceremony. So get ready," you bastards shouted, and the new students fell silent. Rather than being called a true ceremony, it was more like a second test exam. It was like a kind of guardian ability, or comprehension called the One's Dao Heart exam. Why is it called that? Because mastering it requires strong determination, and he then issues many books, which are copies of the books left by the founder of the academy, have different contents, and will be distributed to all new students to study. The time given is only half an hour, and those who succeed will be allowed to choose their own class, while the immortals will be sent to the back mountains for 1 month as punishment before being accepted. However the test then started, Lincoln distributed copies of the book to the students. Randomly, panic spread so quickly, because of course the students didn't want to end up being gardeners in the mountains. Actually, they felt it was a little outrageous because basically it came to learn martial arts. But that's how they were, nor dare to argue. Lincoln was still fixated on Ye Xuan, hoping he would further prove the deputy dean's decision wrong to support him. Sure enough, he had prepared a special book for him that was very, very difficult to understand. Although apart from the cheating, what was actually there was also an extremely difficult thing, even ordinary ones that made it difficult for most students. Give up. The exam started. Caillou immediately thought that if Lincoln was cheating, there was some kind of mark on the book Ye Xuan was holding, as if there was some kind of special engraving, and only one book had it. It was something that would be impossible for even a single disciple to comprehend. You must be deliberately embarrassing, right? Lincoln obviously didn't admit it, and he then made excuses if it was still here to monitor. How could I do it inside? Speaking, these copybooks were all set at random, and it was pure bad luck that Ye Xuan got the one with the stone emblem. Caillou could only remain silent, and Lincoln looked very satisfied, thinking that Ye Xuan would have a hard time, while Caillou was clearly worried that the two of them were really like heaven and earth, who didn't realize who Ye Xuan really was. Of course, it wouldn't give Ye Xuan any trouble, since apparently it was even him who made the book in the past. Not long after, several senior disciples began to arrive. They came only to see the new students, curious about the results of the Dao Heart Praise test this time. And as soon as they got there, their eyes immediately fell on the deputy dean, who observed it was usually never done by him. So they began to think, is it because there are talented students and they are really waiting for the results? Wish there was more than one with great talent. And then their gazes simultaneously fell on Ye Xuan, because that's how the book with the stone symbol was the most difficult book. They felt sorry for him because they themselves couldn't understand it. Moreover, throughout the history of the Academy's founding, no one was able to understand it either. So also, that Lincoln has the same thoughts. At first he quickly realized that Lincoln was deliberately cheating, and he was cultivating to teach him a lesson later. He actually could have used his authority to change the book. But he didn't do it out of curiosity about what was so special about Ye Xuan until the founder asked him to do it properly. He believed that maybe Ye Xuan could create a new miracle, and then unexpectedly, Ye Xuan actually asked to change the book, saying if it was not comfortable reading it. Obviously, hearing that too, Deputy Dean was obviously very surprised as a natural reaction. I was expecting something from you, and you, instead of giving up. On what basis are you really a genius boy? He shouted. But he also answered that he could control himself because he realized that it was just wishful thinking. Of course, he did not explain if the book was made by himself. Lincoln explained that each copy of the book is given randomly, and you get a copy of the book because you are unlucky. It's not anyone's fault. So you can't replace the copy of the book if you don't want to understand it. I will say you mean to give up and prepare to be a gardener for 1 month, he said. In the end, the deputy dean also started to be a bit disappointed because the students didn't want to try to understand it. And the students finally didn't insist on not asking for another change, because basically whether they want to change it or not doesn't change anything. And even though Ye Xuan already knows the contents, still preferring to pretend first in order to avoid suspicion, Lincoln was evidently as happy as ever to see Ye Xuan suffer, believing that he would surely be destroyed. Deputy Dean knew his judgment was wrong, And meanwhile, Deputy Dean shook his head, looking at Yezhuan that he thought he was weird for giving up so easily. Some kept silent from many just like that. If they wanted to change his book, his heart really wasn't right enough. Why did the founder tell me to treat a brat like that? Deputy Dean began to doubt Yezhuan more and more. While being different from him wasn't that he couldn't understand him. He felt that he had another reason, though he wasn't sure what. Time flew quickly, after which the incense that marked the time had almost burned out, indicating that the end of the test was near. Some of the disciples had started to show success. The seniors watching were happy for the success. Although on the one hand, they were also a little disappointed because it took them relatively longer time, and no one could break the record. And meanwhile, Yezhuan was very relaxed, choosing to wait for a while. Again. A few minutes later, at least, more students finally succeeded, even though there were also some students who finally gave up. At least you guys have made it this far. There are 8 students classified as meat who are not too bad in the eyes of the seniors. Yezhuan finally started to get sleepy because the wait turned out to be so long that even 15 minutes passed quickly, after which the test was finally about to end. Who knows how many disciples ended up succeeding while Yezhuan was actually asleep? All right, half an hour will pass soon. All students who fail will be sent to the back of the mountain to become gardeners according to the agreement. Even at that last second, some students seem to have succeeded. Although, on the other hand, many students have finally given up. More and more. And in the middle of it, Yezhuan didn't move an inch, as if he was completely asleep, innocently thought he had given up. So the Deputy Dean became more and more disappointed towards him, who looked like he had no hope in his eyes. So pitiful that the Deputy Dean finally left. And seeing that Lincoln also felt very happy, but still he didn't let go, yet humiliated Yezhuan. He wondered if Yezhuan had really given up. 1 minute quickly passed, and then the Likun then started to count down from 5. Most of the students had already lit up except for one, that was Yezhuan, who had arrived on the last count as spiritual air shot out from his body. When he practiced writing the contents of the notebook, the aura was extraordinary. It even then flew away the writings in other students' notebooks. All the writings were then absorbed into Yezhuan's body. An extremely rare event that obviously caught everyone's attention. Surprised was one thing that could describe everyone's expressions seeing Yezhuan successfully complete the most difficult book in the academy. Everyone clearly had their own thoughts. Lincoln was clearly panicked, while Caillou was relieved that his thoughts about Yezhuan giving up were wrong. Seniors, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened, even though something like this had happened before. That was the true success rate of the 1 Dao Heart exam. A long time ago there was a senior named Lin Yu, who also managed to absorb half of the words in the book into his body. But back then, what he finished was an ordinary notebook, meaning that Yezhuan was still the first person to successfully complete the Boshan Crest book. Deputy Dean gasped at the sight. He then immediately apologized to the statue of the founder because he had been blinded before. He then turned to the statue of the founder to ask for forgiveness. Although the Dao in this book is quite weak, but I actually got a good chance. The way Yezhuan drew more and more inscriptions made the disciples even more unable to understand what was really going on. The absorption process was fast, basically just like reading the book, naturally increased Yezhuan's spell and character. The spell symbols that became his character then appeared behind him, with one of them shining brightly, perhaps indicating that was enough. People were able to see the inscriptions of the 9 spells. Even though he couldn't understand the meaning at all, and even the Deputy Dean couldn't either. He quickly realized that from the background, it must be a big person, so he became scared. Didn't want to make problem with him again. Yezhuan also felt happy, because his Lin character had all recovered a lot by 50% after absorbing all the books. And in the middle of that, Lincoln was still looking for trouble. He blamed Yezhuan for all the books being ruined. He was envious of him being the center of the conversation, and really wanted to get rid of him. Yezhuan finally realized that he was just doing it because he was so excited that he forgot the effect. Caillou then defended Yezhuan, saying that Yezhuan was definitely not on purpose, but Lincoln didn't care whether it was intentional or not. He still destroyed all the copies of the book, he said. Lincoln then complained to the Deputy Dean, "These books are the property of the Academy. If the head of the Academy returns and sees a book is broken, I'm afraid we can't replace it. His history would end by telling him not to speak again." "Do you dare to teach me something, brat?" said the Deputy Dean, exerting a very strong aura of intimidation. The seniors who actually wanted to support Lincoln didn't dare to speak anymore because Mr. Deputy Dean was so fierce, and Lin Kun then still dared to ask Mr. Deputy Dean. But Deputy Dean said to shut up, you bastard. afraid that if he was found out he had tested Yeshuan, that was his true condition as deputy dean. He obviously had the authority to expand Yeshuan directly, but he didn't do so, and unfortunately his fears also became real. Another spiritual stream started as it descended from the sky. The deputy dean then immediately caught him feeling upset, because today the founder even contacted him twice, something he never did at all. Does he still have something against Yeshuan, he thought? He also read the message, and finally found out that it contains a strong threat, if you dare. It was obviously so shocking that the representative freaked out, not expecting the founder to find out like that. There was only complete silence right after the deputy dean received the letter. The students were obviously very curious about what message he got this time. Deputy dean was completely silent. His mind was very messy. Yeshuan himself clearly knew what he had done wrong this time because he had absorbed as much as I could without sparing anything. He then called deputy dean, and he apologized for the problem with the book. Deputy dean then held her hand because he didn't dare and didn't blame Yeshua in the slightest. Now it's all my fault, not your problem. Being able to absorb all the copies of that book already shows that you are very talented. It's a blessing for Wado Academy to have a student like you. So how can I blame you, he said, and silence was created naturally. All the students were very surprised to hear the deputy dean's words, as well as the seniors were also very surprised because usually, dean is not someone like that. Speaking of deputy dean even holding Yeshuan's hand, Yeshuan himself was also still very surprised by the deputy dean's attitude, even though Lekan felt heartbroken because he was no longer liked. Yeshuan then asked deputy dean to let go of his hand while the new students were still looking at deputy dean very surprised. Am I overdoing it? Alright, Yeshuan. Don't worry anymore about the book issue and the 1 Dao Hard exam this time. You will naturally be number 1 in the class. So now I will go first, said the deputy dean, walking with very slow footsteps, as if he had a lot of thoughts. He was obviously still confused by the threat he just received. He was wondering who is Yeshuan really, son of the founder. While on the other side, Caillou then called Yeshuan. But Han Bin then jumped on him first and called Yeshuan. He also introduced himself as the leader of the formation class, intending to invite Yeshuan to join his class. What good is that formation class? Yeshuan, my name is Ku Hongshan. Such a genius like you should enter the battle class. Only battles between men can make you more powerful, he said. And then Yao Ling also didn't want to lose to them. He himself was from the healing class, and he offered Yeshuan to join, promised to give a furnace if he wants to join. Also promised to use his own hands to help Yeshuan, he said. The new students were obviously envious of Yeshuan, who was even offered by all the seniors, although one side also realized that he indeed had extraordinary talent. The students also started to wonder and hallucinate could be very talented like him. Most want to choose a fighting class because as a man, most people prefer strength. Some others want to go to healing class because there are many beautiful women. And a doctor is also respected, especially in Eastflower. And anxiety welled up in Caillou naturally because seeing the many offers made to Yeshuan. She became insecure, especially because the pure class was also on the verge of being disbanded. However, it turned out that Yeshuan chose to reject all the offers that came, declaring if he already has his own choice, he then declares that he chooses the refining class led by Caillou. Of course, it shocked everyone, even Caillou herself. Han Bin and Hongshan then asked Yeshuan, was he not aware of the situation? They also explained that the refinement club was the worst class that was threatened with disbandment, as well as the refinement itself. The basic part of most other classes, which meant it could also be learned in any class, even if it was combat or transformation class. Yao Ling then used the last resort, which was to persuade Yeshuan by offering his body. But it didn't work at all for Yeshuan, which he thought those big curves are just a burden that is very useless in battle. Whatever it was, Yeshuan refused everything. He also apologized for it and explained that he had his reasons. He approached his senior and then gave him a salute. He asked how to address him, whether senior or eldest. Yeshuan then asked him to show his class, and Caillou was silent. He still couldn't believe what had just happened about Yeshuan choosing him. Yeshuan then called him again, and he finally woke up. Of course it's fine. Welcome to the refining class, please. Follow me, said Caillou, and Yeshuan agreed. Caillou herself was obviously still confused about how a talented genius student like her would enter the refinement class. She thought of various reasons and finally thought, was it because of her? Her face naturally reddened and she became uneasy just thinking about it. While Yeshuan and I myself do not have thoughts in that direction. The only reason he chose the purification class was because it studied many things like materials, fire, monsters, and so on, thinking that it would be of great help to his recovery. Whatever it was, Caillou and Yeshuan afterwards went to class with each other's thoughts. Yao Lin then reminded Yeshuan that he could come at any time if he changed his mind, while Han Bin was very disappointed because a talented seed like Yeshuan belonged to a trash class. He then said goodbye to go to rest. The recovering Lin Kun then called him to talk only to make him angry with Hong Shan, who told him to be quiet, blaming him for causing trouble with Yeshuan. Hong Shan then threatened him to report to the combat master, but still Lin Kun was clearly very confident would be fine, still feeling that he was the favorite student for his talent. Of course, he also held a huge grudge against Yeshuan. Naturally, he couldn't stop thinking about Yeshuan's choice of taking the refining class instead. As the leader of the combat class, he actually wanted Yeshuan to enter his class to humiliate him. He also stared at Yeshuan, who left with full of anger. Yeshuan felt that through a very strong cold beast from him accompanied by killing intent, however, still nothing happened. After that, Lincoln also announced the end of the second exam, telling the new students who succeeded to vote hard for themselves. Most of them chose combat tools because it was their favorite, while the second choice seemed to be the formation class. And turning to Deputy Dean's side, he still had a lot on his mind. He didn't expect that the problem would become so serious. In order to get an apology from the founder, he was determined to treat Yeshuan as well as possible in the future. Until finally he arrived at the teacher's room. A student who happened to be there then told him that the teachers were waiting for him. Deputy Dean then asked him to tell all the class choices of the new students before entering, and the student also received orders. Deputy Dean then opened the teacher's room door and saw several teachers who had gathered. There were at least 4 people, and they immediately saluted. Deputy Dean then immediately took his chair to start the meeting. Straight to the point, he also asked, "What about the monthly status of the students who have entered the Wan Dao? It's like, how is the development of the students? How many have successfully broken through or reached a certain point, which is called entering the Dao?" Whatever it is, the teachers then give the report. Chu Xian, as the master of the combat class, answered that his class also had 7 new students entering the Dao this month. Yuan Yinxing, as the master of the healing class, has 5 students. Qin Qiang, who is the transformation master, has 2 disciples, while Yi Qian is the refining class master, who has not had any this month. The deputy dean asked him, "Shouldn't it be this year?" And Chu Xian answered that it was true. That's how the students in the pure class didn't have any progress. Chu Xian then suggested disbanding it immediately, feeling sorry for the students who had taken trash class, as well as the other masters also agreed. Yi Qian then begged the deputy dean to give him another chance, but the deputy also had run out of patience because even if he was given the opportunity, the application remained the same every year. Later on, never succeeding in having a disciple successfully enter the Dao, tarnishing the academy's image. What if the founder of the academy found out we left this to such an uproar? Obviously, he would be furious. "I'm afraid that even none of us will be able to endure it," said the vice dean. But pure class deputy dean. "There is healing. It's both known as mainland sacred arts, and both are urgently needed. The failure of this academic purification class's development is purely due to my inability to teach. So I hope the vice dean replaces me instead of disbanding it." "Yi Qian, what are you talking about? You are the best inmate the academy has. It's not your fault, but indeed it's the purification class that isn't good enough, so there's no need for anything to reply, Mr. Deputy Dean." Yi Qian was also very worried because the class was on the verge of collapse, but right before the representative officially announced it, a student then came to report the results of the class selection of the new students. All the masters were shocked, because that was how it seemed the Deputy Dean had never cared so much before. Deputy Dean then asked the student to come closer to hand over the results, and the student complied. Deputy Dean then read the results, and he found that if Yeshuan chose the refining class, Deputy Dean was clearly shocked to know, because it was tantamount to causing trouble with Yeshuan, and he almost fell into big trouble. Chu Xian called him to ask what was wrong, and Deputy Dean quickly regained his composure. "All right, starting today, I'll announce that the refining class won't be disbanded, but instead we'll get more support and get maximum funding." What Deputy Dean said clearly made all the masters very surprised for being so sudden. After Yeshuan finally got to the refining class, Caillou also introduced the facilities one by one, such as the weapon-making place filled with flaming furnaces, then also introduced the storage area, all materials such as monsters, herbs, and minerals. Then there is also the library, a place to study the purification books collected by teachers and students. Speaking of books, Yeshuan immediately became very interested. He asked Caillou how many books there were, And Caillou answered that there were a lot of them. They were the best in the academy because they had many categories. Yeshuan was happy to hear that he was relieved that he didn't choose the wrong class. Caillou then introduced another place, which is the training ground where, on the roof, there is an inscription of 100 saint refinements. While Caillou then opened the door inviting students in to see the other students inside, there were many students gathered with one of them doing purification. Caillou then called them to introduce a new friend, and a student told him to be quiet because Xiaolei was in critical condition making magic weapons. Yeshuan became interested out of curiosity. Is there any improvement in the refining techniques of ordinary weapons? Magic weapons after hundreds of thousands of years. And turned to Xiaolei. He still remained focused on the formation he set up, completely undistracted, even though there were many eyes watching him. His concept was to enter the formation into the ordinary sword, and at the end successfully embed the second-level ice formation process. After reaching the final stage, of all the students were very curious about the results, because they had previously failed due to a shortage of materials in the sword. But this time it was different, making things out of very hard Arctic black iron, which had very high durability. The disciples hoped that Xiaolei would succeed because such success could be considered as a breakthrough into the Tao, like he had been the disciples' hope because the pure class always failed as well. Caillou really hopes he can succeed. The disciples are waiting for the result, believe there will be a miracle, and Yeshuan also then said, "Unfortunately it will fail," to make them shocked. "Can't accept what you said. What do you mean it will fail?" "How can you speak?" he said. Yeshuan also answered that, "It's true, but the students still don't believe who you worship. I've never even seen you senior. Zilei is our best student. He prepared everything. So how could he fail?" "You shouldn't talk about random things," he said. But unfortunately reality brought bitterness. Xiaolei really had to accept failure once again. His sword was broken. And of course it shocked all the disciples except Yeshuan, who had expected it. The students also cried because their last hope had failed. How could this happen even though I already used hard materials for the blade? Where the problem was, Xiaolei was confused. They still didn't manage to enter the Tao even though their contemporaries from other classes on average had succeeded. Likewise, Caillou felt the same disappointment, thinking if it is possible that the refinement class would really be disbanded if it continued to fail. Yeshuan also felt sympathy seeing him, but the light was silent and thornless. No matter how many people called Xiaoli, then suddenly shouted after that with a face full of anger. I now know where the problem lies. It must be because of you." Xiaolei was heading towards Yeshuan, making him confused about what he meant. "I was almost able to make it, but because of you being so loud, my concentration was disturbed, and I failed. It's all because of you." "Because you said Xiaolei." "That's right," referring to the crisis process, who the brat didn't even know the basic rules of purification and neglected to concentrate on. All the students started blaming Yeshuan, who just kept silent, and Caillou then replaced them friends. "Yeshuan didn't mean it like that," he said. And without further ado, yes, Yeshuan then spoke up, asserting if it was his own fault, how could he turn on others and not accept it?
"Why don't you turn on the sun that rises from west to east, instead of failing?" you said, Yeshuan. "He did this all obviously because you provoked him to participate and interfere during the crisis process. How could I fail?" After preparing everything in detail, everyone also knows how important silence in the process of refining the magic sword is for Xiaolei. That's true, but still, it depends on each individual, and you can't turn on other people by being distracted. 100,000 years ago, there was someone who succeeded in refining the Dragon Abyss artifact. Although amidst the many sea motors 90,000 years ago, the Dragon artifact was also successfully made, even amidst the extremely hot magma 80,000 years ago. Artifact once rained thunder, which environment is harmless and noisy when deciphering all those weapons. Obviously, it was all made in the midst of death threats. But what about you?
"You're now in a very safe environment. Isn't it funny, just a few sentences bothering you?" Yeshuan said. He was shocked because it's true that I'm just a student. So it's only natural that the needs of the heart are easily influenced by the environment. Moreover, the pure class would be in danger of being disbanded if no students succeeded. So it put me under a lot of Xiaolei's counter-pressure. It was just mere excuses, if not the general was really that strong. Even if the sky were to fall too, it wouldn't interfere at all. So if I still have such shallow thoughts, you should just change classes. The refining class is not suitable for a weakling like you," replied Yeshuan. The other students also didn't accept him for talking on their foreheads without proof. "Yes, whatever, I think who you are," they shouted, and Caillou then introduced him as their new friend. The students became even more aware that Yeshuan was just a new student who somehow dared to say so many things. Caillou also tried to calm them down, and Yeshuan also asked for it. Don't worry, refining weapons is not impossible for me. But first I want you guys to go and find the materials first, which are 10 painted bells, 5 gongs, and 6 large drums, said Yeshuan. Is stupid. What do you want to do with all those musical instruments till, whatever? If he wants it fast, let's just say that anyway. We didn't have a single good performance in refining class. I see how he can refine weapons as a freshman. The students then rushing to pick up things accompanied by insults along the way. Everyone was clearly underestimating Yeshuan. Even Caillou doubted he would actually be able to do it. And Yeshuan only smiled in response to all the insults, because he felt he still needed a refining class for books. So therefore he all intended to help them so that the pure class, which was not disbanded without knowing the chaos that occurred in the teacher's room, in short, the story of the students finally returned with the musical instruments requested by Yeshuan, in the form of bell drums, and gong. The students then asked Yeshuan to immediately carry out the refinement, and Yeshuan agreed. But before that, he then ordered the students to play all of his musical instruments as loud as possible. The students became even more emotional towards him, who was very arrogant. Even though in the end he still didn't care anymore, the students just obeyed, then took the musical instrument. And sure enough, they then started playing all the instruments in a loud manner just like Yeshuan wished. They clearly did not accept all of Yeshuan's behavior, but still on the other hand, they were very curious about what could actually be done. His voice was very, very loud, not irregular at all. Even Caillou was very annoyed. Meanwhile, Yeshuan also started to purify, starting from repairing the weapons made by that Li. You said that one word of joining has disturbed your leaf resolve. Isn't it then in that case today, I will prove it to you. If you give distance, it can be done in a noisy place, even though Yeshuan said bringing the sword together, and then whitening it like instilling magic information, and obviously, Yeshuan succeeded in one go, making all the students shocked. What's more, it was also very fast, more than that, based on his aura. They too know if what is a first-tier gathering formation that has the effect of increasing aura by 10%, some kind of between high tier, so obviously it made all the students even more dumbfounded. Xiale couldn't even speak anymore, feeling very embarrassed because he had received such a harsh slap. How could Yeshuan not manage to do it even amidst the loud noise? While he who only received one sentence was already very annoyed, Yeshuan then called out to him, "Did you still have anything to say?" Watching the magic sword he made, and Xiale immediately prostrated himself to worship it. The story of hectopascals starts in a fairly large school in a city in South Korea, where in one of the classes, one of the most dismal students is seen among the other students, and he is the main character named Park Han-jun. Suddenly, another big student came into the class and arrogantly said that the executive had just entered, and immediately all of his friends greeted this man named Choi. A woman then approached Choi and asked about his recent product sales, and Choi arrogantly replied that this month's record sales were 48 million won, or approximately $36,000 USD, much to the woman's surprise. One of Choi's colleagues praised him and thought that they would do a party on Friday. However, before that, Choi actually approached Han-jun and asked, "Why didn't you greet me?" Then he slammed Han-jun's head on the table very hard. Choi kept banging Han-jun's head on the table while saying, "Didn't I tell you to buy all the items I posted? Why didn't you listen to me?" It seems that here Choi has ordered Han-jun and the other students to buy the items he posted on the online market, explaining why Choi was able to get such a big sales record. But this time Han-jun didn't obey him. Immediately, Han-jun glared at Choi, and seeing that, Choi beat Han-jun again while mocking his face, which was starting to bleed. Choi arrogantly said, even though Han-jun reported this to the teacher, they would not help him. "Why did you become like this? It's because you've been beaten and defeated by Kim Cheon-soo. You don't even have any money left. How utterly pathetic. Are you just going to stay silent like this?" asked Choi to Han-jun. Choi beats Han-jun again, while Han-jun remembers his past with Kim Cheon-soo and the reason why his life turned this way. It was about 2 years ago. School gangs began to spread across the country, and one of the most notorious and violent gangs was the Nexus. Han-jun fought against its leader, Kim Cheon-soo, and with a blank stare, he thought he had won the war after single-handedly beating up a lot of people. But unexpectedly, It turned out that the bastard Nexus was suing Hanjun, whereupon the false situation and manipulation of evidence caused everything that belonged to Hanjun to disappear as he lost the lawsuit. To pay off the compensation money at that time, his father has to sell the gym to which he has always devoted his life there. From then on, Hanjun vowed through tears that he would never fight again. If you don't have money, no matter what you do, you will always end up losing even if you initially win. That's what Hanjun always emphasized to himself. The scene changed to Hanjun, who was walking in an alley after school. He then passed some delinquents from other schools. Instantly, those people recognized him as Hanjun, who used to be at war with the Nexus. They whispered that Hanjun was like a god of war, and when he heard that, one of them approached Hanjun and tried to intimidate him. "Have you seen this ring? Can you see it?" asked the bald man. It was Nexus's membership ring, and moments later, this bald guy beat up Hanjun and questioned whether Hanjun is really the legendary Hanjun from back then or not. But because at that time Hanjun didn't fight back, he assumed that all the rumors about Hanjun were just rumors. The bald guy was about to kick Hanjun while ridiculing his father, who had to live in hell because of Hanjun's actions. Immediately his kick was blocked by Hanjun, who heard what the bald guy just said. Hanjun then stared at the bald guy with a very sharp, intimidating gaze, and immediately the bald guy was silent for a moment and panicked a bit. But the bald guy immediately took a piece of wood and beat Hanjun really hard, saying, "How dare a piece of crap like you look at me like that?" After being satisfied with beating Hanjun, the bald man and his group left, saying that the current Hanjun is trash. Suddenly they stopped because they saw someone approaching Hanjun. This man then said to Hanjun, "What are you doing? Don't you have the money to take them to court?" The man also dropped a lot of money and said, "Is this enough? With this amount of money, I think you have enough money to hire a legal team to lead them to court. Anyway, how long can you take care of bastards like them? 3 minutes or 5 minutes?" asked the blond man. Seeing all that, Hanjun asked who the man is, and the man replied that he could be said to be someone who had a problem with Cheonsu Kim and wanted to kill him. Hearing this, Hanjun stood up and the man said, "It seems we were too busy talking that we didn't realize some flies were curious about us." As the man had said, the previous bald guy then approached Hanjun and said, "If you have this much money, we don't need to beat you earlier, you know." Hanjun, who for the past 2 years had promised not to fight anymore, immediately hit him with his elbow very hard, and instantly, the bald guy fell down from the attack. Seeing that, his 2 comrades were very surprised and started to panic after seeing the bald man gets defeated in just 1 attack. Hanjun then turned around and confidently said that he would finish this fight in 4 seconds. So that when the 2 men looked panicked, Hanjun gave several hard punches which hit one of the man's face, while the other hard punch hit the man's stomach. In 1 second, Hanjun managed to throw 4 punches at once to both men and took them all down very easily. "I've taken care of the pests, and I want you to explain who you really are," Hanjun said to the blonde-haired man. On such a beautiful night, in a room in a very tall building, Hanjun and that man sat together. The man then introduced himself to Hanjun. He is the self-made tycoon in Korea, Oh Junwoo, someone who can do anything with banknotes because of his wealth. Junwoo asked, "Do you know how Kim Cheonsu's life is now?" Just by looking at magazines or articles, it seems that Cheonsu has now become a model student, setting an example for his classmates. Besides that, he has also become an extraordinary pro-gamer who shines in Korea. Even though Cheonsu used to be a gang leader and his victims until now are living like a pauper, Cheonsu himself has become a star in Korea. "And that's what I can't accept," said Junwoo. For Junwoo himself, he could have easily eradicated Cheonsu's existence with his money, but that wasn't what he wanted. "What I want is to destroy Cheonsu the same way he destroyed his enemies, which is in a dirty, humiliating, and disgusting way," Junwoo said with a calm expression but a look of burning vengeance on his face. Because of this, Junwoo made an offer to Hanjun. In exchange for all his efforts, Junwoo will finance and pay for Hanjun's entire life. He's even willing to help Hanjun bought his father's gym back and will restore to Hanjun to his former glory again. "Lend me your fist because that's why I came to you," said Junwoo. But Hanjun looked down and asked, "Why do you hate Kim Cheonsu so much?" "Calmlu," Junwoo replied. Is the reason important? The scene changes. Hanjun is seen heading to his class and thinks that he might gradually find out why Junwoo hates Kyunsu. Hanjun entered the class and thought, the most important thing right now is that Junwoo has money, while he has fists. Hanjun then approached Choi while thinking that money is everything. Respect, relationships, quality of life, and money make it all easy. Hanjun clenched his fists very tightly and concentrated all his strength to beat Choi in front of him. Immediately, everyone was very surprised to see that Hanjun's punch made several of Choi's teeth fall out of place. A little flashback regarding Choi's story. He used to have nothing to fear in this world because there was nothing stronger than him until he finally met Park Hanjun. Before his might, Choi's all senses trembled. At that time he knew for sure that Hanjun was invincible. Even the strength of an entire army won't be enough to beat him. That was until Choi met him, Kim Cheon-soo. Kyunsu used his money to sue Park Hanjun. Because of this, Choi realized that money is everything. After that, he opened an online store and sold it to his classmates. And that's how he earned money, and was able to put Park Hanjun under his foot, and then became the apex predator of the class once again. Back to the present, Hanjun then threw a hard punch at Choi's body. Not wanting to be a punching bag, he countered Hanjun's punch. But of course, the punch was easily avoided. Then Hanjun hit Choi's face with his knee very hard, and then beat him repeatedly. It seemed that Hanjun was taking out all his anger at Choi at this time. After that, Hanjun stood in front of Choi with such a terrible aura that Choi panicked, and asked his friend who was in the corner for help. Then Hanjun kicked Choi so hard and he thought, if I continued to get beaten, I could really die. Choi immediately ran out of the classroom in a panic. He ran while thinking I can't die here, then thought, it's been 2 years that he hasn't used his fists. He must be quite weak. However, Hanjun keeps chasing after him with a very terrible aura. Seeing that Choi thought I only need someone who is more powerful than him. Then he realized, there's someone like that in this school and he's Seung Park. That kid will do anything for money. He then goes to see Seung Park and makes an offer to him. If you can beat him, I will give you 1 million won. Hearing that, Seung immediately confronted Hanjun and said, I'm sorry, but the entrance exam for sports science majors is expensive and I need the money. But Hanjun immediately showed a large amount of money and told Seung to step aside. With a smile, Seung Park received the money and said, please just kill him. Seeing that, Choi immediately panicked. What are you bastard doing? But Hanjun beat him out and smashed the window. Choi was then thrown right in front of the principal. He was very surprised. The scene then moved to the principal's office with the principal scolding Hanjun. Are you a thug? Doing this kind of things to your friends? Listen up. I won't let any gangsters here. I won't let you off easily because of this matter, he then continued. Before doing this, you need to think again. After all, your father could be in trouble because of your actions. Hearing the principal's words, Choi smiled. But Hanjun beat him really hard in front of the principal. The principal was angry. But someone came in and said, Park Hanjun, stop that immediately. And Hanjun stopped his anger at Choi. Seeing that person, the principal asked, Who are you? The man introduced himself as Kim Byung-won, a lawyer at KR Law Office, which is the strongest law firm in Korea. Why did you go to our school? Asked the principal in surprise, but the scene shifted to night in an apartment. Hanjun said, What did you do after talking to the lawyer? The principal even booked his body to me. Choi was also immediately expelled from school. This is too easy, said Junwoo. That's because you are often treated as a bird with Choi. It's just ordinary karma. But Hanjun then asked, What about the principal? Junwoo opened his cell phone and said, Easy to make him obey. We have a leash for a dog like him. I just scared him a little, and he started shaking. And we'll deal with the principal about him later. He can still be of use. When we send Choi to the juvenile detention center, the principal will know his position now and will be on our side. The principal will kill Choi. If he also goes to jail for it, I don't want to pay taxes for teachers like them. What I have to say now, maybe I'm counting on you, Park Hanjun. Hearing that, Hanjun just kept quiet and stared at Junwoo. On the other hand, Choi was shown angry in his room. Damn Park Hanjun. You think I will let you do this to me? Never. I will definitely kill you, said Choi with his anger overflowing. The scene switches to someone heading to a building. The occupants of the building then peek outside and ask who you are, and he is Choi. The man calls Jin Seong's name, saying that Choi is here. Inside the building, several people were seen torturing Park Se-eung, someone who had previously gotten money from Han-jun. Meanwhile, the group of people is called Runaway Boys, led by Jin Seong. Park Se-eung, who saw Choi, said, "You did this, Choi, you coward." But Se-eung was hit hard behind him. "So what really happened? You never came in person all this time," Jin Seong said. Choi also answered, "I want to order something bigger than usual." "Indeed, how big is Choi?" Jin Seong said. Choi also said 10 million won, and immediately the blonde was surprised. "Jin Seong, do we need to discuss it any longer? I don't think we will. So who made you angry, Choi?" But Jin Seong actually hit him hard, and this made Choi confused about Jin Seong's behavior. "Don't you know that's too cheap for me, damn? Why are you being such a pitiful dog in front of our guest?" "I'm sorry," said the blonde. "If you look at the price you put up this time, it's definitely not an ordinary person, right?" Choi said to Park Han-jun. Jin Seong's expression immediately changed. "Interesting person. You want me to take care of Park Han-jun with only 10 million? Do you think I'm stupid? You think everyone doesn't know who he is?" Choi also said 10 million is just the initial deposit. I will double it if you manage it. Jin Seong immediately smiles and accepts the deal. In a slum residence in the middle of the company, here you can see someone who entered the house, and he was Junwoo. Junwoo seemed to start talking to himself while looking at the photos displayed in front of him. "Have you been here for a long time?" "Sorry, I had business earlier. I stopped by to buy chicken earlier, but what about chicken lately?" "Everything is the same. Your father's fried chicken used to be very good. I sometimes think I want to eat what he made again. And every time whenever I think about it, I always want to eat. It's been 2 years since I haven't eaten this. But those 2 years feel like just yesterday for me," Junwoo said with a terrible look. On the other hand, Hanjun is seen coming down from his apartment. But suddenly his cell phone rings, and he gets a call from Junwoo saying that Choi has moved. He seemed to have hired the runaway boys and his troops. I wasn't worried, but called me when they come. But Hanjun, who was already outside, said, "Don't bother because they have already come." Jin Seong and his troops were seen waiting for Hanjun on the spot. "Nice to meet you," said Jin Seong. "Who are you guys?" said Hanjun. But suddenly a car at full speed seemed to be going to crash into Hanjun, and the one driving the car was the blonde, who said loudly, "Kill you 20 million. Instantly Hanjun was very surprised by his position. At this time all his nerves couldn't be moved. But immediately Hanjun jumped forward to quickly avoid the car's collision. But Hanjun was blown away and hit the asphalt quite hard. People thought that he was really crazy, because that would be tantamount to suicide. Instead of running away, he lunged towards the car. But Jin Seong said that it was the most appropriate decision. But it seemed that Hanjun got up with a lot of blood on his face, and then said, "Right now I'm really angry." Instantly, Jin Seong and all his subordinates were preparing to fight Hanjun. But this Jin Seong thinks Hanjun, even though you've been the same all this time. But there's no way he wasn't injured from the attack earlier. But Jin Seong ordered all his subordinates to get into the car immediately. The blonde told them all to get in the car and then leave this place. Seeing that Hanjun didn't stay still, he ran after the car with his speed. The people in the car who saw that also praised Hanjun's madness, but logically there was no way someone could catch up with the car. But as soon as Hanjun got closer and made the people inside panic, "This bastard could catch up with us. What is he?" It looks like Hanjun jumped to reach this car, then smashed the car window with his fist. Hanjun then pulled one person with him, then jumped from the car by holding that person with him until they fall together. "Just leave him," Jin Seong said. Hanjun looks with his horrible aura. Hanjun asked the guy, "Where are those bastards going? I don't know." "How maybe I know where they are going?" But Hanjun beats him really hard. "Answer right, bastard." "Damn, you thought I would tell you to say the man persistently. Do you want me to give you a hint? Fine, it's up to you," Hanjun said, ready with his fist, and Hanjun landed a very hard punch. At the headquarters of Jin Seong and his men, here you can see Jin Seong and his men having a drink party, and you can see Choi at this place. Choi immediately got annoyed and said, "Jin Seong, what exactly are you doing? Why are you guys so happy? You can't even catch Park Hanjun is right. Even, I have given you guys the initial deposit but still can't finish this job. Then, what if Park Hanjun now attacks Choi? So that's how you think about us. Are you starting to distrust us? Then why are you angry? So, hey, have you ever heard of a knife to kill a chicken, a knife to kill a cow? But do you remember you ordered us to kill a tiger? Is there a knife to kill a tiger? There's no way we can kill a tiger with a knife. You can't kill him like that. At least that's what I was thinking. So how did people hunt tigers in the past? That's easy. We just need a bunch of punks and dogs. A tiger with a high temperament and aloof. For 1 or 2 months he will torment until he wants to die. That's how I will kill Park Han-jun. That's how the tiger will die in the most horrible way. But something hit the door very hard. Immediately everyone was shocked. Isn't that an iron door? The door is getting dented by a single impact. Quickly check it, said Jin-sung to the blonde. I hope this is just an ordinary madman. The blonde also checks at the door, who was outside, and it was Park Han-jun who was pounding on the door while taking the person he had previously pulled from the car with him. Immediately, everyone looked panicked. Damn, quickly grab a weapon or something. But Jin-sung kept calm and said, Don't be rash. There's no way Han-jun can break through the iron door. Just let him be. He'll definitely go alone. And yes, as soon as Han-jun won't punch the door again, I'm sure Park Han-jun will also be afraid if he fights all of us. But suddenly the blonde cold sweat saw something. That bastard. What creature did he say? The blonde was very panicked. Han-jun was seen climbing the building to get to this room. Han-jun then jumped in through the window, seeing that this blonde started to panic. It can't be that crazy bastard. It's the 3rd floor of a building. But Han-jun then hit one person with his knee, which immediately slammed into the wall very hard. Then I saw 2 people who were going to kill Han-jun with their weapons. But quickly Han-jun caught one person and kicked him. The other one violently threw one person in his hand and hit his partner, and Han-jun beat them with very, very strong fists. Suddenly 3 people fell in an instant. Han-jun then stood up with his muscular body and said, Go ahead, all of you. Seeing that the blonde and his colleagues just stared at Han-jun in silence. Instantly they thought, damn, we're finished. No wonder it happened too easily. But that bastard doesn't look scared at all while they can take care of Park Seong easily. The 3 of them who lost just now were due to being ambushed, right? There must be a reason they were able to survive until now. If they did this properly, it's possible that they were at Park Han-jun's level. No, maybe even at a level above, then saw Jin-sung who said to finish him. Instantly, all Jin-sung's underlings attacked Han-jun simultaneously. But Han-jun was able to dodge it easily, then caught the man's neck fast and hard, and hit him on the floor with great force. Seeing that the blonde was about to launch his baseball bat attack at Han-jun's head, I hit Han-jun's head really hard. Good. I hit the target, though the blonde was quite happy. But the blonde's stick looked shattered, and Han-jun was looking at him very, very sharply. Han-jun beat him until the blonde fell out of the window and lay on the ground. Outside, a motorbike was seen approaching him. The figure then opened his helmet, and it turned out that he was a woman. She is scary, said this woman, while the blonde thinks, will I die? Will my life end like this? Is this heaven? Is Park Han-jun upstairs? Asked the lady. Yes, Miss Angel, he is upstairs. Can I have your number? The blonde ended up getting hit with a helmet by the lady. The woman then called someone and reported that Han-jun wanted to destroy someone's house. What should I do? And the woman who called earlier was Junwoo. The woman then said there were 2 bags that had just come out recently, and I was confused about which one to buy. I kept thinking that I couldn't remember what location this was. Junwoo looked very annoyed, but still sent some money to him. After that, the woman told the location where Han-jun went berserk. Then moved to Han-jun, who was facing Jin-seong, while Choi looked battered on the spot. Then Jin-seong said to Han-jun, I'm sorry we lost. Why did you spare me the last? Is there anything you need from me? Money, strength, troops, I will help you. But immediately Han-jun lifted Jin-seong saying, No need. I just want to beat you the worst. Han-jun then threw Jin-seong and beat him repeatedly on the floor. But suddenly a man came in and held Han-jun's hand. Please stop destroying my house. If you want to fight, do it outside. Why are you doing it here? It's already hard for me to live here alone without parents. Why thugs like you come to here then took over my house, and now some madman wants to destroy my house. Why are you doing this to me? Then saw Junwoo, who came into this room and asked, How can you destroy people's houses like this? You are scary. Who are you? Are you the one who told him to destroy my house? I'm CEO Junwoo of the social group. I'm really sorry. and if you need money for this repair, I'll pay 5 times the price. The man asked if he could give me 10 million won, and Junwoo gave him 50 million won without a second thought. Instantly the man smiled, seeing that meanwhile on the other hand, Jin Seong thought, how can Hanjun be that strong? This is a fight I can't win. I have to run away, Jin Seong said by running towards the window. Then I saw Jin Seong, who without hesitation jumped from the top of this building, but immediately saw Hanjun holding Jin Seong's clothes. With a terrible expression, Hanjun said, I'm still not finished with you. Jin Seong was seen thinking, I will die if he brings me up again. Jin Seong then took a knife from his pocket and was about to slash Hanjun's hand, but Hanjun had let go first. Jin Seong fell from the top of the building with a panicked expression and hit the asphalt very hard, while Hanjun saw Jin Seong and the blonde who was sprawled below from above. But it seemed that he was still able to stand up and immediately left with a body covered in wounds. His survival intention was great. Yes, Junwoo said. But one of Jin Seong's colleagues laughed loudly. You stupid people have dealt with the wrong person. Hearing that Junwoo and Hanjun were confused, do you know whose child you have just dealt with? Do you think he is just an ordinary person like us? His father is the chairman of PJ, the shipping behemoth. You know dealing with sailors is the scariest, right? They're rich enough to make you disappear from this world. But Jinwoo smiled and said it was that bad, huh? On the other hand, in an apartment, Jingxian is seen going to meet his father and is shown Jinsong's father named Hwang Hae-ryong. Seeing Jinsong's serious condition, his father asked, What's wrong with you? Who did this to you? This Jinsong said, Father, can you take care of 2 people for me? But his father said that they would not be able to come back if they did this. But Jinsong said that he would regret this for the rest of your life as long as those 2 people are not dead. What's your real problem, son? I got beat up by some bastard, Jinsong said. You were already a man when you ran away from home, but I can't believe you asked for help in your current state. Raise your head when you ask to help someone. If you show your weakness and insincerity, no one will help you. Think about what you really want. Ask me one more time when you're ready to risk everything. But Jin Seong said, Dad, I want to kill that bastard no matter what the cost. Suddenly, Jing Seon's dad smiled and then called someone saying, Chairman Kim, I think I need 2 drums. Let's teach that bastard a lesson. Then we saw several cars filled with Yin Song's father's subordinates. They headed to where Hanjun was. Then they arrived at a place or building that was not yet finished. And here they saw Jin Seong, his father, and dozens of his subordinates entering this building, and some carrying drums. Then someone appeared in front of them and said, Why are there so many insects involved in children's fights now? Hearing that Jin Seong's father said, Do you really want to die while laughing? But that person was Jin Woo, who showed his face and said, Come on, how could someone want to die in this world? Do you think there are people who are scared because of your CEO Hwang Hae-ryong's boasts? Seeing Jin Woo, Jin Song's father was silent for a moment, but immediately his expression changed to panic. Are you Chairman Oh Junwoo? Jin Song's father then thought frantically. What's this? Why is he here? But suddenly Hae-ryong's cell phone rang. Director, I'm a little busy now. I'll call you later because there's a big problem, the man said. On that call, all of our 2-year agreements with OJ Group were all cancelled. I don't know the reason, but Chairman Oh Junwoo himself personally cancelled it. Hearing that, Hae-ryong immediately prostrated and begged, Chairman, please spare me just this once. Seeing that, his men asked, CEO, what are you doing? Shouldn't we beat them up? Hae-ryong fearfully and panic said, Shut up. Don't you see the situation now? Junwoo grinned. And the first problem was that he wanted Hae-ryong to get rid of everyone there besides his son. Hae-ryong was still on his knees before Junwoo, still begging to cancel the shipment this time, or else the company would be in big trouble. I actually don't want to do this, but I also need to maintain the image of my company. A company with a gangster boss, where could I work with a company like that? Said Junwoo. Immediately Hae-ryong said, I will send my son to study abroad, and I will make sure he will never back to Korea again. Hearing that, Jin Song said, Father, here I was the one who got beat up. Why was I just studying abroad? But immediately, Hae-ryong became angry and beat his own son very hard and told him to be quiet. While laughing, Junwoo said there was no point in sending him overseas. Instead of sending him overseas, I have a better suggestion. If you do what I'm suggesting, maybe I can retract my order. Hae-ryong said he would definitely do it. Alright, before I used 50 million won because of your son, it's not a lot for me, but it's a lot for other people. I want your son to work alone and pay my money back. Hearing that, Haryong said, sorry, but Chairman, how can such a kid pay 50 million won? You're a sailor, right? Put your son on the boat. Isn't deep-sea fishing now expensive? And the scene moves to the middle of the sea where you can see a ship. Then you see Jin Song fishing with a sad face. Moving into a building, here Hanjun said to Junwoo that he looks like a villain. Yes, after all, what we are doing is not charity work or something like that, right? Apart from that, don't get caught up in problems that need money from now on, and don't get hurt too, Junwoo said. I'm fine, said Hanjun. But suddenly someone touched the wound on Hanjun's body and made him very alert, and it turned out to be a woman from before. It made Hanjun confused. Who was this woman? Junwoo introduced her, and from now on she will help you to destroy Nexus. She is a celebrity and she works as an informant. This woman is a well-known figure with 570,000 followers named Choi Seo-hyun. Regardless, I was quite impressed that I heard that Park Hanjun looks like a bandit. But he looks more handsome than I thought. So why did you call me today? Asked Seo-hyun. I called you because I want to talk about our future plans to destroy Nexus. Not our plan. It was to make Park Hanjun beat them up, Seo-hyun said. For now, Nexus is far beyond our capabilities. Hanjun alone isn't enough to beat up those bastards. So I'm planning to develop our team's fighting skills, and I think one of the right people for that is at Donghua High School, which he is still connected with Nexus. Immediately, Hanjun said Kim Dong-hyun, and Junwoo praised him because Hanjun had sharp instincts. That's right, he is Kim Dong-hyun. When you fought Nexus back then, he was the one who still fought with you to the end. The former #1 student of Donghua High School, Kim Dong-hyun. What happened in that war after he injured his knee? He can't even walk properly, you know. But we need Kim Dong-hyun. Hearing that, Hanjun just relaxed quietly. Your expression slowly turned weird. But business is business, right? At a time like this, you should be relaxing with your friend. But don't forget, Kim Dong-hyun currently belongs to Nexus. Instantly, Hanjun's gaze became very sharp. Then moving on to a school, where you can see a meeting being held. It is explained that Chairman Choi will be sent to a juvenile detention center and that it will be a problem because they will put him in prison. And because of that, it seems like it will be difficult to raise money going forward. That bastard knows how to make money, but has no experience in politics. Then it was also explained that the person who sent Chairman Choi to the juvenile prison was Park Hanjun. As soon as the aura of this room changed, their leader who heard that said with a sinister expression, one of the guys there, the #1 guy in Donghyun's high school student, Min Gyeongchul. He commented that Park Hanjun should have decided to live quietly and not mess around anymore. A promise is a promise. He can't let it be. But suddenly someone came in panic. There was big news that Hanjun will transfer schools here. Immediately everyone was shocked to hear that. Then Hanjun was seen introducing himself to his class. Greetings from Donghua High School. I'm here to destroy you. Hearing that, immediately all gazes went to Hanjun. But their teacher instead smiled while saying that even the transfer students at our school are annoying. The teacher then put Hanjun in the very back seat. Finally, I met you in person, said the student sitting beside Hanjun. This guy is the 12th strongest guy in Donghua High School. Jo Umin, Min Gyong Cheol, told me not to mess with you. People his size can be afraid of you. But I want to fight you instead, said this man. Don't get me wrong, I'm a transfer student last year. I don't really know you, but I've heard a lot about you. I just want to prove that the rumors are true. How about we just duel directly and ignore all of them present? But Hanjun just ignored him, making Jo Umin annoyed and wanted to slap Hanjun. Hanjun immediately hit him with a very strong elbow, making Jo Umin throw far away and hit the wall hard. Suddenly, all the students who saw it were very surprised. Hanjun looked very terrible. Hanjun then fell asleep and said, "Don't disturb me." Moving somewhere saw Seo-hyun, who said, "To be honest, I'm not sure if we should recruit Kim Dong-hyun. There are a lot of strong and normal men out there. Why recruit him? Either because his leg hurts and looks pitiful, or because he's a friend of Park Hanjun." But Junwoo said the one word that came to mind when Kim Dong-hyun's name was mentioned, and that was persistence. Even though his body was small, he fought Nexus only with strong tenacity. But one thing is certain, they were also destroyed because they were too stubborn. So why do we have to recruit people who have been injured? asked Seo Hyun. Junwoo also answered, I believe this. When someone has been broken his heart before and will be more sensitive than before. The words of the wise, once said Seo Hyun. Then the other hand, Hanjun was seen walking in the classroom hall, and everyone was silent and gave way. But suddenly Hanjun saw someone in front of him. It was a red-haired man. The man looked like Kim Dong-hyun, but there was someone kicking him really hard. It made even the red-haired man crash and drop his belongings and food. It's annoying. Why did you go to the supermarket? It took more than 5 minutes. I lost the bet because of you. What are you going to do? This guy also banged his head on the wall saying, What are you going to do, you bastard? He's slow enough. If you beat him up, then he will be even slower, said another student. When he ran, his legs might not be useful. How could he go to the supermarket in 5 minutes? Added another student. Nothing is impossible. He just needs to be more afraid of me than losing his legs. And he continued to beat Kim Dong-hyun very hard. This red-haired man really was Kim Dong-hyun, and seeing that Hanjun just kept silent. On the other hand, Seo Hyun said, I now understand why you are trying to recruit Kim Dong-hyun, but I feel that Park Hanjun is not an easy person to work with. Isn't it better if it's solved with money? It's easy if Kim Dong-hyun is someone who can be bribed with money. Do you know why Kim Dong-hyun fought with Nexus at that time? It's because Park Hanjun fought too, that's all. Others might think this is weird. He fought with his injured leg for others, but the Kim Dong-hyun I met was the one who would fight alongside his friends. Assuming if his friend got beat up, it meant he got beat up too. That's the nature of Kim Dong-hyun. Kim Dong-hyun was smoking after being beaten earlier. But suddenly, Hanjun appeared in front of him with his muscular body. Nice to see you again, Kim Dong-hyun. Kim Dong-hyun, who saw that, then said, I heard you came here to destroy this school. Do you think you can do it, Nexus? They have become stronger than before. The power and money they have not something we can disturb or sue. We've lost, that's the end. But Hanjun said, No, this time we will win. Hearing that, Kim Dong-hyun stood up and said, Before that I will not fight if I feel I will lose, and because of that I will be lame. Hearing that, Hanjun said, You wait and see. But apparently Min Gyong-chil saw this encounter from the window and said, I wonder what he's going to do. But all he's doing is cooperating with that cripple. What a fool. Min Gyong-chul then told his men to prepare to beat up Hanjun. In a hospital, here is Dong-hyun is seeing the doctor, and the doctor said, It's good, Dong-hyun, you are receiving therapy regularly. But it will be more difficult. The longer you delay the surgery, the less chance you will recover. Go to a bigger hospital. I know it's a tough decision, but it's better than you not being able to walk anymore. Outside the hospital, Dong-hyun was standing in the pouring rain. But suddenly someone came and said, What did the doctor say? Have you recovered? Why are you here? Dong-hyun said, And it turns out he is the #1 person in the hospital. Dong-hyun's school is named Min Gyong-chil. We're friends, right? I'm a little sad. I'm just a person who is in the same room and checks the condition of your feet. I saw you having an important talk with Park Hanjun, and I just want to know if everything is okay. I hope he's okay because I'm going to kill him for the second time. But Dong-hyun said, Then why don't you come alone if you are so strong? Instantly he kicked Dong-hyun's leg hard, and it made Dong-hyun crash against the asphalt quite hard. Don't you think that everything Hanjun has done till now was useless? Don't you remember, Hanjun also knelt like you just now and your feet are the proof. Don't you ever get tired of that unquestionable loyalty? But Dong-hyun said that first, until you betrayed me and Park Hanjun then entered Nexus. Why are you talking about that? If it's like that, I'll become the bad wolf. You are indeed a person who maintains loyalty, always cool to his friends than a bastard like me who prefers betrayal. Just do as you please, Kim Dong-hyun. I think this time you won't be able to take care of your friends anymore. Hearing that, Dong-hyun just looked down with annoyance. Back to school. Here you can see Hanjun, who is sitting casually in class. But then on the radio announcement, there was Min Gyong-chil speaking. As you all know, Hanjun Park is the one who started the war with Nexus 2 years ago. When you transferred to the school, you clearly said to wipe out this school, right? Are you waiting for me to beat you up again like that time? I know you're strong. That's why I've never seen you lose before. But Hanjun Park, maybe this time will be different. I'm not the type of person who is strong with my own strength. So from now on, the hunt for Park Hanjun begins. When all the students headed for Hanjun's class, 2 people were thrown from outside the classroom with a huge crash. What's wrong with them? The other students started to get confused, and someone was knocked out again and hit another delinquent outside the classroom. You can see Hanjun, who is very burly, stepping on the neck of one of the students in his class. Damn what the class is doing. But it seems that all the students in this class have been unconscious. Mad they were all defeated by Park Hanjun. Then saw Hanjun, who said, "I will show who here is being hunted." All of a sudden, all the students came forward to attack Hanjun simultaneously. But Hanjun kicked the vanguard hard, and then a heavy punch was thrown at this delinquent. Hanjun once again beat up other delinquents sadistically, while Dongyun was still silent in his class. Suddenly Dongyun's gaze became very, very sharp. Hanjun was seen facing all the students of this school very brutally. Then Hanjun smashed one of the students' faces with one fist. Then he turned around and kicked this other student very hard. Seeing that all the other students started panicking, bastard monster. He is not only reckless, he really wants to slaughter us all. Don't be afraid to catch him. But we can also win if we catch him. But one person gets hit hard by Hanjun, while the others try to catch Hanjun at the same time. Hanjun was seen being caught by the students, who restrained Hanjun simultaneously, then beat Hanjun repeatedly at the same time. However, Hanjun kicked the person in front of him really hard, then backed away and hit the person holding him against the wall hard. Then Hanjun beat the students who held him very hard. How can you let him beat around like that? But Hanjun continued to hit very hard repeatedly towards the thugs who were blocking him. Hanjun felled many delinquents very quickly, and then quickly beat them all one by one very strong and brutally. And it was seen that everyone in the hall was finished off by Hanjun very brutally. They were all sprawled, but Hanjun then faced again with a group of students in front of him, who have prepared. Park Hanjun is already tired. This is a good chance because we haven't even started yet while the other students are seen running around. Park Hanjun's energy was almost exhausted. It was Dongyun who thought, that idiot, it's all over. Why are you doing this again? But suddenly someone came in and said, Park Hanjun will surely be disappointed. Is it okay for you to just sit here like anything happens when your friends are fighting? You're Kim Donghyun, right? Hearing that? Kim Donghyun just said, who are you? Seohyun replied, you could say I'm one of Park Hanjun's co-workers. Hearing that, Dongyun just said I can't fight, and Seohyun said that I'm not here to tell you to fight. I just want to tell you about Park Hanjun. From what I know, he knew that he was going to fight all the Donghwan high school kids when he entered this school. And we told him to run away if something like that happened. But he decided to fight anyway. Seohyun then said, you know the reason she said she wanted to prove that this fight she can definitely win. Hearing that, Dongyun was silent for a moment. He then remembered Min Gyeongcheol's words, who said the reason you are like this now is because you depend too much on your dregs of loyalty. I don't know whether you will remain loyal this time or not. Then you can see Seohyun, who said, are you sure you won't regret it? Immediately Donghyun's aura turned quite badass. But you can see Hanjun, who continues to fight very brutally. But Hanjun looks very tired after defeating so many thugs, and it can be seen that everyone in this hall also had all been defeated by Park Hanjun. They were all sprawled, but suddenly Min Gyeongchol appeared and came down from the stairs. As expected of Park Hanjun, no matter how many you have defeated, that is enough. From now on, they will all become like monsters. Here are shown the strongest delinquents in this school. From the first Min Gyeongcheol to the strongest to the 7th, everyone gathered together to defeat Park Hanjun. Seeing that Hanjun returned to his serious mode and prepared to fight. Immediately 6, the strongest delinquents came forward, simultaneously lunging, seeing that Hanjun prepared with his strongest fist. But Hanjun was really taken aback because the strongest number 2 was hit by a broom from the side. All of a sudden, everyone stopped looking at that. Hanjun, you're really annoying doing cool things alone. And he's the Dongyun who came to help Park Hanjun. Then the picture shows a photo showing Dongyun and Hanjun's friendship on a suitcase containing Hanjun's money. Forget about our previous plans, Min Gyeongcheol said. We'll take care of it together with Park Hanjun. Then saw some of the strongest delinquents and others who came forward to attack Dongyun simultaneously. Seeing that, Dongyun was ready with 2 broomsticks in his hands. Damn limp kid pretending to be strong, said the number 3 delinquent angrily and was about to beat Dongyun. But Dongyun blocked his attack with a stick and then hit him very hard with a stick. Then there was the strongest bald thug number 4 who lunged and held Dongyun. But Donghyun kneed him really hard, and then hit all the thugs in front of him in a row with his broomstick, while on the other hand, Hanjun also beat his opponent in succession. Hanjun and Donghyun locked up these delinquents and beat them up one by one. How could one be exhausted and the other crippled? How could they be that strong? Hanjun and Donghyun fought like a deadly duo that couldn't be beaten. They then leaned against each other and Donghyun said, "Park Hanjun, I'm sorry I often blame you while living my life right now, but I know it's not because of you. I just want to blame others." Heard that, Hanjun smiled, but suddenly Min Gyeongcheol jumped at them with his muscular body and said, "What kind of nonsense is that? If you really want to die, I will grant it." But Donghyun said, "Park Hanjun, he is mine." Hanjun and Donghyun then avoided Min Gyeongcheol's very strong attack hit the floor. They then ran towards the door together, seeing that Min Gyeongcheol chased them while saying, "You stupid child, just run." But Hanjun caught him and threw him so hard toward the door that Min Gyeongcheol was thrown very far into the room. After that, Donghyun closed the door by tying it tightly, waiting a moment longer. It will be over soon. Seeing that Min Gyeongcheol said, "Kim Donghyun, you did another stupid thing," Min Gyeongcheol lunged at Donghyun with his fist to the west. "Who did you say was pathetic?" But Donghyun blocked Min Gyeongcheol's blow with his stick and immediately tore his hand from hitting the stick. Donghyun then slammed his bat on Gyeongcheol really hard, but Gyeongcheol lunged at Donghyun, held his body strong, then lifted him up like the Undertaker in the arena and threw Donghyun really hard to the window, then punched Donghyun with his fist. But Donghyun was able to avoid it quickly. After that, Gyeongcheol said, "Donghyun, what are you going to do now? You are going to fight me with your bare hands." Hearing that, Donghyun opened his shirt, then tied his shirt to his fist and said, "Who said?" Seeing that, Gyeongcheol said, "Using your shirt. You're such a cute bastard." But Donghyun throws his shirt in Gyeongcheol's face, quickly covers his face with the shirt, then pulls it as hard as he can and hits it on the floor really hard. It wasn't finished there. Donghyun then beat Gyeongcheol repeatedly. But without realizing it, Gyeongcheol appeared hitting Donghyun's leg really hard as soon as Donghyun looked really hurt. Gyeongcheol then said, "You and I are not the same as before." After that, Gyeongcheol seemed to get up, and Donghyun, who looked very sick, appeared and said, "Kim Donghyun, what happened today will be very detrimental to you." After that, Gyeongcheol stood up and left Donghyun, who was in pain. However, Donghyun was seen getting up and saying, "Bullshit, where are you going, gorilla bastard?" Gyeongcheol was suddenly surprised. Gyeongcheol then looked annoyed and said, "You're a bastard even after being taught like that." But Donghyun said, "It's not over, Gyeongcheol," Beat Donghyun said. "What else can you do?" But it looked like Donghyun could still hold on and said it wasn't over yet. But a hard punch hit Donghyun very quickly. This made Donghyun get knocked far enough to hit the wall. Donghyun was sprawled on the floor. Here you see Donghyun, who still has a very strong will to fight, while Gyeongcheol said the damn bastard left Donghyun, and you can see Donghyun, who can still get up. "Where are you going? This bastard still hasn't ended," said Donghyun, who got up with a body covered in wounds. Seeing that, Gyeongcheol looked very annoyed, and then hit Donghyun with his fist and said, "Just die there, asshole." But Donghyun scratched Gyeongcheol's face with glass that was flying in the air. Seeing that, Gyeongcheol was immediately shocked. "Did I get cut?" And see that Donghyun's hands were filled with the mirror. Then once again, Donghyun scratched Gyeongcheol's face with the glass in his hand, but Gyeongcheol didn't stay silent, and again launched his attack on Donghyun. But his punch was still avoided by Donghyun. But Donghyun was holding Gyeongcheol's shirt and said, "What kind of person do you know? I can't lose. If I lose now, I can't deserve to show my face in front of Park Hanjun again." Donghyun then hit Gyeongcheol's face with his head really hard. Gyeongcheol suddenly loses his balance and thinks, "Damn this bastard." But once again, Donghyun hits Gyeongcheol really hard, and once again Gyeongcheol gets hit hard from Donghyun. Then there was Donghyun's very annoyed face, and the last punch that directed all his energy into his fist and beat Gyeongcheol very hard. Immediately, Gyeongcheol was seen lying in front of Donghyun. After that, Donghyun, with a lot of wounds, came out of the door and saw Hanjun fight with the other thugs, and it looked like Hanjun had defeated all the thugs who fought him. Seeing that, Donghyun approached and said, "There's a crazy person, you really won." But Donghyun immediately fell, and was detained by Park Hanjun. Park Hanjun then embraced Donghyun and took him away from here. Here you can see Hanjun smiling at Donghyun. Seeing that, Donghyun said, "Are you smiling stupidly?" They then went through the hall, which was filled with delinquents who had been sprawled by Park Hanjun. Then it shows someone who says, "What the hell, that person is the chairman of the board of Dongyan High. This man seems to have a lot of subordinates," and he says Min Gyong Cheol. "That incompetent bastard, you said his name is Park Han-jun. Just to catch that one bastard, they ruined the school like this. Go and catch that bastard Park Han-jun and just break 3 bones. But suddenly someone said to that guy, "Don't do that. You should let the kids mind their own business." Seen someone who appeared wearing glasses and adults did it separately. And that person was Junwoo's lawyer. These 2 men had the meeting, and the man in white said law firm KR, so C. Park Han-jun had a lot of money. Even so, just because they have a lot of money, they can do things like this. But suddenly the lawyer dropped 3 suitcases filled with money and said, "I'm not here for small talk, so I brought it not to disappoint you," seeing that this man immediately smiled. Manager Lee says, "Looks like you know how to negotiate. Let me tell you now, I won't take it if it's not yellow and show the contents of this suitcase." That is documents, and there is a yellow file too, but the lawyer says it's tomorrow's headlines, Dongyan High School. Agreed whereabouts of the school gang and getting students with good fighting skills to join its criminal organization, everything from how you stole money from the foundation to how you bought land illegally, tax evasion. Please let me know if there's anything I haven't mentioned. Listen, that's all Manager Lee said. Didn't you think that you could die for doing that? So did Mr. This lawyer have 9 lives or something? But the lawyer said yes, if you kill me it's all over. If our law firm organization is against who? Who will win the charge of murder seems to be quite troublesome for you. Hearing that, Manager Lee looked annoyed. All right, what do you want? Not much, just give up this school. At the hospital, here is Seo Hyun said to Park Han-jun, "Are you really human or robot? How are you still okay after facing all the students from Dongyan?" But Han-jun said, "I'm not fine," but saw the doctor coming out of the operating room. This doctor then said, "It's amazing because he was able to endure the pain all this time when he came here. He was not in good condition. So for more detailed results, we needed time to observe him. But the operation went well. I hope he has a great chance of recovery." Hearing that, Han-jun looks smiling with emotion. On the other hand, it shows Junwoo, who is in a bar. "Thank you for being motivated in this successful young man interview will help many students. I also hope so," said the white-haired man. After that, the white-haired man said, "I feel something is wrong." The team lunged. "I've never changed my schedule for an interview from a lesser-known magazine before. Was today's interview arranged by you, Chairman Oh Junwoo?" This white-haired man was the leader of Nexus, Kim Cheon-soo. "I never thought someone like Chairman Oh would come to see me. What an honor. With that way of speaking, did you forget who I am? Of course not. But now it's not the same as it used to be. Past is past. We're just the oldest in professional gamers sitting together. I'm just showing my respect to someone whose title is taller than me. That's good because you can understand the situation, but it's a bit annoying. I'm the type to always remind the past, you know, so I'm the one who destroyed Dongyan High School." Hearing that, Kim Cheon-soo said, "I don't understand what you're talking about. If it's finished, I'll go home now." "Nice to meet you, Chairman," Kim Cheon-soo said by holding out his hand. But Jin-woo instead ignored him. Kim Cheon-soo left the place, but Jin-woo called Kim Cheon-soo. "At our next meeting, your face will no longer be that flat." Hearing that, Cheon-soo only smiled. But Cheon-soo turned away, and immediately his facial expression became very serious. Then saw Jin-woo thinking, "To be honest, I was worried because it's been 2 years, but I saw his face. I'm not angry. Could it be because I think too much about the past? I think I'm worrying about things that aren't important, because from his face, I think he's the one who's angry." On the other hand, Cheon-soo is seen in the car, and his partner asks, "What are you doing now, Park Han-jun? Are you going to let him?" "Of course not. If they shoot the flare gun, then we have to respond. Be prepared, this fight might be the biggest fight in South Korean history." Moving into a very luxurious apartment, then shown someone meeting some people who were gathered in this place. "What's with the emergency call? I have other schedules," so quickly told me. This man is the manager of the Gyeonggi branch. Then this big man is the manager of the Gangwon branch, Kim Ji-hyuk, and the longish man beside him is Kungcheong branch manager, Lee Mun-gil. Someone then said, "Seoul has a good view. Why complain? This man is the manager of the Jeolla branch. This is the manager of the Gyeongsang branch, Baekdong Cheon, and lastly the manager of the Incheon branch, Nam Insu. The reason we're all here is because of Park Han-jun, right? Didn't that bastard Cheonso beat him with that money, I was thinking?" said Lee Mungil. Who is that bastard Park Hanjun that you have to send us to Seoul? Said Daeongjan. Suddenly Lee Mungil laughs and says, Oh yeah, you didn't know after that it's natural since you only joined Nexus years ago. Lee Mungil then told that 2 years ago there was a very dangerous man named Park Hanjun. That man was the chairman of a small area in Seoul. Even though Nexus managed to seize the surrounding area, including areas outside Seoul, they had difficulty seizing Park Hanjun's territory. It was very embarrassing. Not only that, but the bastards from other territories saw Park Hanjun and saw a glimmer of hope or something. So they gathered to fight Nexus. So we gathered to capture Park Hanjun. He also finished without any problems. We wouldn't be gathering here. Right, something happened beyond our expectations. Even though we are outnumbered, we keep losing the battle. Not only that, but Nexus is also on the brink of collapse. Hearing all that Dongcheon said, is it possible? Yes, if you see that bastard fight. He really a monster. A crazy bastard. But immediately Dongcheon smiled and said, Doesn't that mean you all are weak? Suddenly the situation in this place became more serious. Don't be arrogant, you look down on us, Lee Mungil said angrily. But Kim Ji-hyuk intervened and said, Let it go. He's not wrong. Yes, to be honest. I thought the same thing, said Choi. But that was 2 years ago. I felt Nexus overreacting to something small like Park Hanjun. However, Seonggu said, Don't be like that. There's nothing wrong for us to be careful. Take care, right? And this might seem like a waste of time, but this could be a very important day. Did everyone who could come have already come? Sorry to call you guys all of a sudden after this. Let's have some food. You know why I called you over, right? Already moved. I feel war is the best choice, even if it's a decision I have to make. I think I should have decided it together with you guys, but Taeso asked us to be careful whether war is the right course of action. I feel like you made too much commotion. One school has been seized by Park Hanjun. But immediately Taeso panicked, seeing that. Cheonsu then said, You think I'm making a fuss, but Naminsu said, No, I don't think you're making a fuss. Let me take care of it. Will it be okay? Okay, the method I use won't be easy. He has donors. There will be a lot to prepare. But Naminsu said, Ready after I get this scar? There's no moment where I'm not ready. It's true you have a grudge with Hanjun, right? And I can trust you, so I'll support you. What do you think, others? Yes, I support me too. Do as you please. I also support. Do your best. I also support. Okay, then Nam Insu will take care of it, and once the meeting is over, this is your end, Park Hanjun, you bastard, thought Nam Insu with a burning passion. Moving on, we can see Nam Insu and all his subordinates who have gathered in one place. Finally, the day has come when we can kill Park Hanjun. Are you serious, Park Hanjun? We can really kill him. Seen Jin Woo and Hanjun who were heading somewhere and seen them going into an abandoned house. In the middle of these companies, Jin Woo then said, Don't you want to know? I know everything about you, but you don't know anything about me. For example, like, how can I have this much money? Why do I hate Kim Cheon-soo? Why did I try to take revenge and spend that much money? I think it's time for me to tell you. Moving on, I saw Hanjun and Jin Woo who came in and sat together at the dining table. Here, Jin Woo said, First, the money I've spent so far is mine, and all this house is also mine. About 2 years ago, I had a friend. We've been friends for a long time. His friend who doesn't care, even though we fight a lot. Then the next day we forget about it. Maybe more like family than friends. Junwoo and his best friend are seen playing on the computer at home. They look like they are playing trading and saying financial statements and market sizes and partner policies business in different areas of the company's vision and the public's reaction to it, including the various possible successes and failures, so we can plan and prepare. And even if it fails, it will cover all bases and have a plan for all eventualities. The design may look old, but its function is very interesting. I'm so curious to use its performance later. That's what Junwoo said at the time. And the main problem is after Park Han-jun's defeat against Nexus, it was seen that Jinwoo was beaten by his friend when you lost to Nexus. All the bastards in my school, everything changed, didn't you hear? We all have to get together. Then it was shown Jinwoo who was stepped on. Then he said if there were people who opposed him, they would be killed. If there was an organization against him, they would destroy him. But you know about my temperament, right? This bastard, why did you hit my friend, bastard? That's how we fight. When we fight, I thought even he will just run away, leaving me. Bullshit. Here we see Jun-woo, who wanted to enter the burning building and was detained by the fire department, and it turned out that Jun-woo's friend was in the building. The next day saw Jun-woo, who came to someone they beat up yesterday and said, "Bastard, you killed him. You burned that place right. Don't you know there is such a thing as a boundary? What did we do wrong to you?" But instantly Jun-woo was beaten up by this jerk. From here we know that Jin-woo's friend was dead, then moved to see Jun-woo, who was surrounded by these bastards. "We were just smoking there. This bastard was unlucky, huh?" But it looked like Jin-woo was angry and was about to throw his punches at those bastards. But the scene moved to show Jun-woo, who had been badly beaten and was lying down. In this place my friend was dead after all, and I couldn't do anything. Jin-woo looked alone in his room. Even he really regretted it. "I didn't want to hold Nexus anymore. I never thought it's going to end like this. I want to die. I have to erase my tracks like I'd rather not exist in the first place. Oh yeah, the traitor is already walking. The longer you learn, the more you have to calculate. Indeed, what's the point now? I'm going to die anyway. I'll take care of this and donate this only." But suddenly saw Jin-woo, who was shocked, and saw that Jun-woo's balance increased rapidly. There was still a lot of this that could be put in my savings: pleasure, regret, embarrassment. Instead of all those feelings, all my thoughts were on how happy it would be if he knew all his hard work paid off, and it turned into anger at me, and anger that is the reason I'm still alive now. Jin-woo said, very annoyed, "While Cheon-soo will die, I don't care how much money I spend because this is all my friend's money too." Heard everything Han-jun said. "Why are you telling me all this?" Jin-woo also replied to reminder. "I want to tell you another reason not to give up on destroying the Nexus." Moving saw Jin-woo, who was in the car, and then called someone. I was a little carried away with my story. So he saw the soft side of the president means. "But why am I telling your story this easily? It seems you are starting to become close friends with him, huh?" It turns out that Jun-woo was calling Seo-hyun. He then said, "Do you still remember the plan? Next is Incheon. They are troublesome people. So be careful, they will be difficult opponents." Hearing that, Jun-woo said, "I think I also agree about that. Even when in the middle of the road like this, they are really troublesome." Here you can see Jin-woo's car, which was surrounded by troops from Nam In-soo. Then one of Nam In-soo's subordinates dropped some paint to block the way from Jin-woo's car. Jin-woo's driver was seen, who was blocked by paint that fell in front of the windshield. The president held on tight, and it was seen that Jin-woo's driver was drifting very fast. The scene backs to Incheon gang, who are chasing the car from Jin-woo. Hearing the commotion, Seo-hyun, who is on the phone, looks panicked and says, "Oh Jin-woo, what happened?" Jin-woo is seen, who has fainted in the car, and after that, this gang group surrounds the car to catch Oh Jin-woo. Then there is Nam In-soo taking the cell phone from Jin-woo and saying, "Oh girl, are you this bastard's girlfriend? You could be this rich bastard's girlfriend. You must be very beautiful. Besides that, you also know about Park Han-jun, right? Pass my message to him. We were waiting for him at the distribution center of the JQ Distribution Center in East Incheon, and we saw Jin-woo, who had been caught by this gangster group. If you told him that Nam In-soo from Incheon was waiting for him, he would understand, and then Jin-woo had been taken somewhere." Hearing all the words from Nam In-soo after that, Seo-hyun said, "Those bastards must be crazy. I'm beautiful, but I'm not that jerk's boyfriend." The scene changes, showing Park Han-jun, who is walking in an alley. Park Han-jun then remembers the words of Jin-woo, who said that anger is the reason for me to stay alive. "I used all this money to defeat Kim Cheon-soo, so it's not a problem to spend it all because all the money, it belongs to my friend." Hearing that, Park Han-jun replied, "And you told me all this because yes, simply to raise your spirits makes you unable to give up to destroy Nexus." Park Han-jun, who thought he was telling me his reasoning, so I didn't intend to give up halfway. But suddenly Park Han-jun was called by Seo-hyun, who followed Park Han-jun on her motorbike. Seo-hyun then said to Park Han-jun, "Come up quickly. Jin-woo was kidnapped by Incheon gangsters." Hearing that, Han-jun looked surprised while muttering the name of Incheon. Elsewhere it seems Jin-woo who has realized, and he thinks, "Where am I?" And there he guarded by many people. Seeing that, Jin-woo thinks, "Are they bastards from Incheon?" Then looks at the fat one, who approaches Jin-woo and says, "The jerk is aware. Should I put him to sleep again?" Hearing that, Jin-woo thinks this fat bastard is Incheon's number 2 bully, Baek Banjung. Then behind him is Incheon's number 1 Nam In-soo. And Nam In-soo said, "Let him be just bait for Park Han-jun. We'll hold him for a bit and then let him go later." But Jin-woo, who saw that he was laughing out loud, Jin-woo then said, So you guys are idiots who really don't think before you act, huh? You really just kidnapped the owner of the company. I have to admit I never thought this would happen, if I could. I want to recruit you. That's a good plan. But don't you think there's a huge gap in this incident? You damn Inchin are the weakest of the weak. It just 2 years ago you all knelt begging in front of Park Hanjun, pitiful. Then with a very sharp smile, Junwoo said, all of you thought you could fight or face Park Hanjun. Heard that the fat looked annoyed, but was stopped by Na Min-soo. Then said to the fatty, I'll take care of this person. Na Min-soo then came closer and said, you've just woken up, but you're already talking a lot. It seems you know about some Inchin stuff, but if you act like you know something, at least you really do knowing it. 2 years ago he knelt alone. Inchin didn't kneel to Park while saying the previous chairman would be sad if he heard that. Aren't you guys brothers? And according to what I know, the previous chairman knelt to protect you. Hearing that, immediately looked like the fat one was going to beat Junwoo, then ready with his fist while saying, say one more word and I will kill you. Hearing that, Junwoo scoffed while saying, one more word? I just said 3 words. Hearing that, it looked like the fat guy was going to beat Jinwoo and said, you bastard. But suddenly a subordinate from Na Min-soo came and said, we got information that Park Hanjun was on his way here. Heard that immediately, Na Min-soo looked smiling. Hearing all that, saw Junwoo, who said to the fat man, Banjung, don't waste your energy to beat me. You better use it to deal with Park Hanjun. It seemed to come on time. But it was seen that the fat guy beat Junwoo and sent him flying far enough. After beating Junwoo, the fat one went to meet Park Hanjun. Na Min-soo then said to Junwoo, no matter what I say, you will definitely argue right, so I will say this. The chairman of Incheon previously knelt in front of Park Hanjun. So, look carefully, I will show you that Incheon has changed. The scene shifted, showing Seo-hyun and Park Hanjun being chased by several people on motorbikes. Also seeing that, Seo-hyun said, damn, they sent all the motorbikes in Incheon to chase me. But immediately Seo-hyun looked very surprised because it turned out that the fat guy was blocking their way together with some of his colleagues. Saw the fat Seo-hyun, then said, what was that giant pig, while hiding behind Park Hanjun, and said, Mr. Hanjun, take care of him. But the fat man immediately turned away, saying, keep quiet and follow me. We do want to kill you now, but we are not cowards, and the rule in Incheon is 1-to-1. After that, Park Hanjun and also Seo-hyun were seen, who kept following this fat guy. But it was seen Seo-hyun who said, you are very big. This is the first time I see someone as big as you. Can humans be this fat? Are you wrong? Do you wear clothes that size like that special machine or what? Or is this really the size for your body? Hearing all the questions, the fat man turned around and said, shut up and follow me, asshole. But Seo-hyun continued, I wonder what else to do. Then one last question, Seo-hyun then said. What happened 2 years ago was decided by Incheon. If at that time Incheon decided not to fight each other, but focused on beating up Park Hanjun, right? But why didn't you finish him right away after seeing his face? Fat who turns away. With a terrible face or expression while saying, are you baiting me now? I didn't say that I won't hit women, did you? Do you want me to hit? Hearing that, Park Hanjun immediately came forward saying, not her. But hearing that, looked the fatty, who got even more annoyed and said, I always hold back, damn you bastard. I couldn't take it anymore. Then saw the fat one about to beat Park Hanjun while saying before going to Na Min-soo, I'll teach you a lesson. The scene tells of a super baby born with a body size that is beyond reason. After puberty, he becomes 217 centimeters, weighs 243 kilograms, and is known as Blimp the Man Wrecker. But it looked like the fat guy had been kicked by Park Hanjun's extremely hard, and for the first time in my life I felt like I was flying. You can see the fat man who was crashed hitting the wall very hard. Seeing it looked that the colleagues of the fat man were very surprised. Did he succeed in being dropped? And immediately they all got ready while saying, if the chairman gives the order, we will finish him. And Park Hanjun was seen being surrounded by gangster groups from Incheon. Saw that Seo-hyun then said what in Incheon 1-on-1. Saw Park Hanjun who came. Jinwoo then said, Park Hanjun, let me go. My feet started to hurt. But suddenly a big man appeared while saying to his subordinates, you all stop this bastard, let me take care of it. Then it was seen Park Hanjun who had confronted Na Min-soo. And Na Min-soo said, haven't seen you, Park Hanjun, for a long time. Looking at Na Min-soo, Park Hanjun seemed to remember the figure of the previous leader of Incheon, who was very similar to Na Min-soo, then said, "You're Nam Mansu's younger brother, right?" Hearing that, Nam Insu looked like he was getting ready in his fighting position and said, "If you dare to say that, say it now, because today is the day I've been itching to beat him up from the first." Then you can see Nam Insu beating Park Han-jun while saying, "If you don't want to go first, then I will go first." Seeing the attack from Nam Insu, Park Han-jun thought that he was fast, and this could not be avoided. And sure enough, it was seen that Han-jun was hit by Nam Insu quite hard. After that, Nam Insu said, "Incheon's defeat 2 years ago, I will pay it today." However, Park Han-jun was seen throwing his punch at Nam Insu, but was successfully avoided, seeing that Han-jun launched his kick again, and was again avoided by Nam Insu. Very quickly, Nam Insu beat Han-jun with extraordinary strength, after Nam Insu seemed to retreat, and was seen being chased by Mr. Han-jun, who like a monster threw his fist, but was again avoided by Nam Insu. But Park Han-jun's clan was hit by Nam Insu. And Nam Insu said, "You're slow," and you see Park Han-jun who was blown away by Nam Insu's punches. After that, Nam Insu came closer and said, "Park Han-jun, it's hard when you're like this. I can't be angry. Get up because the real fight just started," said Nam Insu with a terrible expression. After that, the scene told after Incheon knelt in front of Park Han-jun. I was so embarrassed that I couldn't rest and kept hitting the punching bag. Incheon, which is seen as the strongest boxing in the whole country, even without a fight being humiliated by Park Han-jun. I'm a boxer they call a genius. Boxing isn't fun anymore, and because of that I stopped boxing because what I do is fight, not boxing. After that, it was seen that Nam Insu was going to a place alone, seeing that the boss of this place said, "Who is that kid? Go." Hearing what their boss said, this big body seemed that this place was not a place for you to be able to play around. But it looks like this big man who was beaten by Nam Insu with a very hard punch could make him crash into the face of their boss. After that, Nam Insu said for the punching bag, "You talk a lot too, huh?" Seeing the colleagues who were beaten instantly, all of them took out their weapons. Nam Insu said, "Come on you all." Since then, Nam Isu has destroyed 27 schools in 2 years, 13 gyms destroyed, and 4 organizations disbanded. Became stronger through countless battles just for the sake of avenging Park Han-jun. The scene again shows Park Han-jun who gets hit by many attacks from Nam Insu, but are you kidding me? Now that you are this weak, Incheon is suffering because of you. How dare you do this to me? You can see Park Han-jun who keeps getting punched by Nam Insu, seeing this fight. Seo Hyun then said to Jinwoo, "What's wrong with Park Han-jun? Will he lose?" But Junwoo answered first, "Let's see him." It was said that Junwoo had actually researched Park Han-jun before recruiting him. One thing that surprised me was that Park Han-jun was the son of a gym owner. The fact that he didn't even learn any martial arts and was only practicing physical training was due to pure strength and power he could match against the Nexus. The problem was that Nam Insu was also aware of that, and he was always able to dodge Park Han-jun's punches. Then Nam Insu countered the blow by hitting Park Han-jun's face with a pretty hard punch. The wound made when you use a boxing glove with a wound made from an empty hand is much different, but if it's the empty fist of a boxer, it's enough to tear human flesh. Nam Insu took advantage then. For the rest, he only needed to accumulate the impact of Park Han-jun's attack. Then it was seen that Park Han-jun was going to hit Nam Insu with his hard punch, but the punch was very easily blocked with one hand, and he hit Park Han-jun back and made him blown away far enough. After that, Nam Insu came forward with his fist while saying, "Try to cheer me up," but I saw Park Han-jun who dodged the attack from Nam Insu and held Nam Insu's lower leg. Seeing that, Nam Insu locked Park Han-jun's head and said, "What are you doing? You think you can win if you make me fall on the ground just because I'm a boxer? Is that just your plan?" But I saw Park Han-jun stomping his foot on the ground very hard and immediately managed to push Nam Insu with incredible strength. Seeing that, Nam Insu was very surprised, while thinking, "What crazy power is this? He can lift my upper body weight with just his strength." But I see Nam Insu smiling while thinking that like this I will be cornered if I do boxing. Indeed, my basic is boxing, but I am a street fighter, and Nam Insu was seen hitting Han-jun with his knee. After that, Nam Insu lifted Park Han-jun and threw him into the air. That made Park Han-jun hit the wall quite hard. Seeing this fight, all of Nam Insu's subordinates praised him and thought that Incheon's pride would come back. Hearing that, Nam Insu seriously said, "Don't be too happy. This is only the first round." And Nam Insu thought, "I know you won't fall just because it's Park Han-jun, But that bleeding in your eye will surely cloud your vision. Slowly, you will definitely lose your balance and let your guard down. After that, it looks like Nam Insu is coming forward and is about to beat Park Hanjun with his fists. This fight is certain that I will win it. But you can see Park Hanjun, who managed to avoid a punch from Nam Insu, seeing that Nam Insu looked quite surprised. Likewise with Junwoo and Seo Hyun, who were quite surprised to see that suddenly, Junwoo's expression turned terrible. And Junwoo said, "This is what I'm waiting for. You can see Park Hanjun beating Nam Insu really hard." Then it was shown Park Hanjun, who managed to beat Nam Insu really hard. Seeing that, he immediately saw Nam Insu, who was very surprised while thinking, what the hell was he dodging my attack earlier? If he really can read my movements, then I'm finished. Then I see Park Hanjun, who hit Nam Insu again. And Nam Insu thinks, or could it just be a coincidence? Am I wrong? And then Park Hanjun was seen hitting Nam Insu on the head again from above. The scene then follows Nam Insu, who is often referred to as the greatest of the greatest. But Park Hanjun is also a monster of monsters. Junwoo, who was watching from a distance, said, even though Nam Insu had the upper hand in terms of speed with his opponent. But in reality, it was still not enough to take down Hanjun, who was a monster. Hearing that, Seo Hyun said, then why hasn't he been able to beat him before? Because it's not easy to beat him. I myself studied a little his body movements, said Junwoo. Nam Insu often changes modes from infector to outboxer, therefore, he is always superior in terms of distance and speed. Then you can see Nam Insu avoiding a hard kick from Hanjun while dodging. Here Nam Insu is thinking, every time I launch an attack, he always knows where my attack is going. But it looks like Nam Insu is getting hit hard from Hanjun. I'm trying to attack his weak point, lest he can read all the attacks. Is this the difference between talent and effort? Then Nam Insu was seen advancing while avoiding Park Hanjun's hard punches. Then with a very scary expression, Nam Insu said, I'm still not finished, and there were lots of scratches and blood coming out of Park Hanjun's body. After that, it was seen that Nam Insu was throwing consecutive punches, very fast punches towards Hanjun's face. But Junwoo, who saw the attack, said, this was over, and Hanjun was seen returning Nam Insu's advantage with one very hard punch right on the Nam Insu's face. While hitting Nam Insu, Park Hanjun said, you're too slow. Then another hard punch hit Nam Insu's chin really hard. When Nam Insu was hit, the previous leader, Nam Mansu, said, I will do whatever it takes to protect our members, even if it means sacrificing pride. When you can't take care of what you should be taking care of, then they will suffer. But one day when he saw Mansu prostrate before Hanjun, saw that suddenly Nam Insu appeared and said, what is this all you can do? Your passion is our passion too. We are very proud to be able to fight with you. Stand up, you idiot, Nam Insu said. But since Mansu doesn't want to fight, then let me just fight, said Nam Insu by advancing to beat Park Hanjun. However, after one attack from Park Hanjun left a scar that lasted forever in Nam Insu's left eye. Back to the present. Nam Insu was beaten up by Park Hanjun and was bleeding profusely. Saw it looked like someone was holding the fat man's shoulder while saying, are you just going to stay here watching him get beaten up? Then there was Nam Insu, who looked panicked looking at Hanjun while thinking, is this what the chairman of Incheon saw at that time? This is not pressure that can be released by ordinary humans. He's really terrible. I feel like I want to run away from here, thought Nam Insu with a scared face. But on the other hand, he also thought if he ran away it would undermine the pride of his members. Then one can see the fatty and his cohorts advancing together to beat up Park Hanjun to defend Nam Insu. Here the fatty said, I'll help kill him. I'll show you how strong Incheon is. Seeing that Nam Insu looked panicked while thinking, no, don't come here. And immediately Nam Insu shouted, telling all his subordinates to stop. Immediately, all of Nam Insu's subordinates fell silent and stopped carrying out attacks. And suddenly Nam Insu was seen kneeling in front of Park Hanjun while saying, I lost. Nam Insu always thinks back on the incident back then. I was also embarrassed at that time, knowing the weak side of the man I considered Incheon's hope. But now I think I know this must be the embarrassment that my brother felt at that time. Something that no one can understand. Under this knee there's a very heavy burden. I didn't care about my sister's knee and instead blamed Park Hanjun. So it feels like this, huh? Seeing Nam Insu kneeling down at Park Hanjun, the fat guy screamed and said, get up, Nam Insu. What are you doing now? as well as all of Nam Insu's subordinates who said after everything we did, you are just like him too, stood up, saw this commotion suddenly appear Junwoo, and said, think again carefully, you idiots. Don't you know that Nam Insu did it all because he thought of you? And don't you realize that Park Hanjun is getting serious? Do you think can win from him? Junwoo then approached Nam Insu and said the real battle is the one who protects more, is the one who wins. I have to admit that, hearing all that, it seemed that the fat man and also his colleagues were just silent. Nam Insu raised your head. After that it was seen Junwoo who hit Nam Insu on the head. Seeing that, Nam Insu raised his head saying, what did you do that for? It was for you to kidnap me, damn bastard. Junwoo then stood up and said, I'm a bit relieved now, even though I know you can endure it. Then the reason why you kidnapped me is because Nexus gave you hope. No. Hearing that, it seemed Nam Insu, who was just silent, Junwoo then continued. Of course, because these people from your Incheon, each of them have their own family problems. To solve all those problems, Incheon borrowed money from Nexus. All that money I have paid. Hearing that, looked Nam Insu and all of his subordinates, who looked surprised. However, outside of the distribution, it was seen that Seo Hyun, Park Hanjun, and Junwoo were going to leave this place. Before they left, Nam Insu was seen saying to Jinwoo, what the money you gave was for. Hearing that, Junwoo turned and said, so you don't disturb me again. You really think I gave my money for no reason? The message should have entered your cell phone. By the way, I already paid for it. I know everything you guys did, even to the point of being their dog and doing whatever the money you gave to Nexus to pay all your debts. I know you earned it with your own sweat from being a courier. Even porters, you did everything you can. You must have had a hard time. Hearing that, looked like Nam Insu was quite touched. Jinwoo then said again, I just didn't see you guys working hard, so I wanted to help you a little. Jinwoo then turned away, but heard all that Nam Insu and all of his subordinates bowed their heads as they said, thank you. I can't be more grateful than this, said Nam Insu. After that, Nam Insu raised his head while saying to Jinwoo, we owe you. After that, Jinwoo, Park Hanjun, and Seo Hyun were seen leaving this place. After they left, Nam Insu turned and said to all his subordinates, friends, I'm sorry already lost. Sorry for embarrassing you guys. Hearing that, fat guy and all of Nam Insu's subordinates looked moved. Nam Insu always said, I won't embarrass you anymore from now on. Incheon will leave Nexus, and let's live without embarrassing ourselves again starting now. On the other side of Jinwoo's apartment, here is Jinwoo, who said, so we can already take care of Incheon. This is good. But why are you like that today? Jinwoo said to Seo Hyun, who was looking down, and apparently seen on Seo Hyun's cell phone, it looked like Junwoo sent it. Money of 40 million won. Seeing that, immediately Seo Hyun looked very happy and said, long life to you, President. May Incheon kidnap Oh Junwoo every day. Hearing that, instantly Jinwoo looked annoyed and said, oh, Junwoo is in front of you, so watch your mouth. After that, Seo Hyun looked at Park Hanjun and said, oh yes, by the way, Park Hanjun, you have a wide back too. If you try a little decoration, it will definitely be cooler. Do you want to shop for clothes with me? Asked Seo Hyun to Hanjun. After that, the scene moved to a mall. You can see Park Hanjun, who bought an outfit that looks very scary. Seeing that, Seo Hyun said, it's funny that the mafia wears things like this. But because Hanjun didn't look happy about it, Seo Hyun also offered to try on clothes other. However, when Park Hanjun bought another dress, Seo Hyun was seen looking amazed at Park Hanjun's appearance. Seeing that, Seo Hyun looked embarrassed while saying that it was more suitable. I'll buy some more, so I'll just wear it from today. But I see some people who were watching Seo Hyun from a distance. These two people then whispered in English and said, look at that woman. Isn't she Choi Seo Hyun with 520k followers? She is really very beautiful. One of the two thought for a moment to approach him, and asked his friend not to worry because he thought he was handsome. Even though Seo Hyun was walking with Junwoo and Hanjun, the man ignored them. The blonde-haired man seemed brave to approach Seo Hyun, and spoke Korean, and offered him to go somewhere nice. Hearing that, Seo Hyun seemed annoyed, making the blonde-haired man think that Seo Hyun was the type who got angry easily, and would really please him later. But unexpectedly, it was seen that Seo Hyun slapped this man hard enough for the man to get angry, and then said, how dare you touch me with your hands, you jerk? Seo Hyun replied, that I heard everything before you came here because I understand English. Get rid of the trash. Hearing that, the blonde looked annoyed and was about to beat Seo Hyun while saying, you bastard. But suddenly Seo-hyun's bodyguard appeared, namely Park Han-jun, who immediately beat the blonde very hard. The blonde immediately slammed into the glass and made his head embedded there. Seeing that his black partner came forward and was about to hit Park Han-jun from behind, however, it was seen that Han-jun was holding the punch using his elbow, and Park Han-jun's hard elbow instantly made the man's fingers crooked. You can see Park Han-jun beating this man really hard, and after hitting him several times to make the man cry while apologizing. But Park Han-jun was about to beat him and said, "I don't understand English." Heard that it was seen that Seo-hyun was eating popcorn while saying, "But I spoke in Korean just now. Good job, Park Han-jun." Heard there was a commotion here. The manager of this shop also appeared to break up the fight. The manager then panicked a bit and said, "You can't do this kind of thing in our store. Please stop, or I will call the police." Hearing that Seo-hyun said that this is nothing, and apologized for disturbing, but saw the damage in this store. This manager said, "But I guess sorry won't be enough because I think the store will need some compensation." Hearing that Seo-hyun and Park Han-jun immediately glanced at Jin-woo. Seeing that, Jin-woo was immediately annoyed and asked that he be given patience. After that, the scene moves to the forum bar, or in the play zone area of the Nexus. Here you can see someone playing cards while saying, "What did you say Incheon left Nexus? He's the head of a branch from Gyeonggi named Choi Tae-soo." Tae-soo then said, "Besides, I didn't expect from Incheon gangsters anyway." Then that Jun-woo turned out to have guts like him. "I still can't believe he can repay Incheon's debt. We are also making moves, so don't worry about Park Han-jun. I'm working on it." Immediately after the call was finished, Brand was looking at the woman in front of him and said, "Sorry it took quite a long time. Then should we open the last card?" After that we saw the woman who opened the last card looking goosebumps, and it was time to open the card. Suddenly this woman immediately grabbed his head and said, "Ah, damn it." After the defeat, Tae-soo said to the woman, "This is the third time you are bankrupt. If the money you borrow is up to 120 million, that's the limit." Tae-soo then smiled and said, "Fun game, and let us show how we finish our business." Then look at the woman who will be pulled by the two bodyguards. Saw it looked like a woman who was crying and said, "I will do that while crying. I will do as you ordered." Hearing that immediately, Tae-soo turned with a sharp smile and said, "Aren't you close friends?" Hearing that this woman said, "Yes, I will do it." After that, Tae-soo showed a piece of paper and said, "I hope you don't regret your choice." And it turns out that Tae-soo showed a photo of Seo-hyun. It looks like the woman who is losing gambling is a close friend of Seo-hyun. The scene shows Kim Dong-hyun who looks like he is sweating wet. But suddenly a woman appears who comes and says to Kim Dong-hyun, "Dong-hyun, are you doing this again? It's not good. If you overdo it during this recovery period, I will do 2 more sets. Already quickly stop," said the nurse. After that, Jin-woo came to see Kim Dong-hyun. "I heard your operation went well. How is your recovery?" asked Jin-woo, hearing that Dong-hyun looked down and said, "Thank you. I will definitely return your money. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to fight with Nexus if you're depressed. Just do as you please." Hearing that, Kim Dong-hyun's gaze became sharp, and he said, "Thank you." "Then I'll clarify something," said Kim Dong-hyun. Jun-woo, who heard that, looked confused. "My relationship with Nexus will only be finished if I win against them. It is my decision to fight with them," Kim Hyun said. Hearing that, Jun-woo smiled. "You are a man of your word, right? So hurry up and finish your recovery." Jin-woo reported Dong-hyun's healing process to Han-jun. "Thank goodness," then said Park Han-jun, who was in place. After that, it was seen that Jin-woo hit the table while saying, "Okay, now that Kim Hyun is almost finished recovering, we have to start back to work." But then showed Jin-woo, who said, "As I expected, Incheon made the first move. Then our next opponent will be the one who lent money to Incheon, the head of Playzone Tae-soo branch. This must be the first time you hear his name right. He is the biggest pillar in the center Nexus. His business is money lending business. He is the first person we have to kill." Hearing that, it seems Park Han-jun just silently silent. But after that, the scene moves somewhere, and a sound is heard. Before that, there is someone we have to meet first. Showed Jin-woo, Park Han-jun, who was meeting someone in this place. Here was Jun-woo, who said thank you for cooperating. After that, he was shown the person who was being met by Park Han-jun, and also Jin-woo. This man then said, "You really will protect me, right? Don't worry about that. Just tell us your story." This man also said, "Choi Tae-soo, that bastard is really a devil," he also told me. "Every day people often call me good looking, and I'm glad to hear that because my dream has always been to be loved by the public and trends at school. People call them influencers and SNS stars. But reality isn't that beautiful. Whatever I do, my followers don't go up. At that time, I think, what's the problem? Should I give up? That's what I thought at the time. But one day I was invited by a group of someone who has thousands of followers. I thought it was a golden opportunity. If I can be with people like them and finally I can increase my followers quickly. So I take the opportunity to be with that group of people. And I see that person saying, I told you you don't have talent. I will prove it. It started fast. Left bro met the Insta stories that I've been dreaming of. I admit it really thrilled my followers. Yes, my followers immediately skyrocketed up to 2.1 M followers. At that time I thought I could do anything, but it didn't last long. In line with time, the person who approached me at that time began to show his true personality. At that time I asked him, isn't this a gamble? Do you want to try too? I got 6 million won yesterday, said the man. Isn't gambling a bit? Damn. I thought you were a person who knows how having fun turns out. I'm just a boring asshole. Hey, go. I guess I really misjudged you, and don't you dare come to our club again. That's how I get kicked out of the club. At that time I was confused about what really happened. Shortly after that I lost 2 M followers, and whatever I post, I've done everything to try to return everything to how it was before. At that time, I was thinking hard I need to increase my followers again. I thought, wait, is the relationship this important? After that it looks like he's back at the club. I try back with them to reboost my followers. And that's when I started gambling. After the lecturer moved, it seemed the man said, you are good at lying too. Huh, how much do you have, huh? I'm really looking for recognition from everyone, but on the other hand, I'm also afraid of sinking like at that time. But that's where I started to like to gamble and lost everything. At that time I thought, damn, it's money that I took from my father's account. If I can't return it, I'll be in big trouble. But at that time, that person approached me, and I saw someone came closer and said, looks like you've been having a lot of problems lately. That person is a star among the stars. Yes, he is Choi Taisu. It looks like that guy lent me some money, and stupid I accept the money. I have to pay him 5 million won every month. I borrow money worth my living expenses for 10 years. But what drives me crazy is the person who lent me the money. Choi Taisu, he's the one who framed me. I know I'm stupid, I shouldn't gamble. But what frustrates me even more is I'm getting crazier when I remember how stupid and pathetic I am, hearing all Choi Taisu. He stands up and says, it's not your fault, it's the bastards that's the trash. And looks like this man cried after remembering all that, and he seemed surprised to hear Jinwoo's words. After that, Jinwoo said, just wait a bit, we'll take care of it. But after the scene moved, you saw a man who broke open the play zone door and said, Nexus, let's play again. Then the scene told that previously Jinwoo said to the man, now go to the play zone with Park Hanjun and gamble there. Hearing that, the man looked surprised and thought Jinwoo was crazy. However, after Jinwoo told all his plans, the man was very surprised. I also didn't ask you to do something for free, said Jinwoo. Back to the present, he also put a lot of money in front of the playzone guard. This man then told the playzone guard to bring him his chips. You can see the playzone guard smiling while thinking of a stubborn person. Please sit down, sir. But after telling that earlier, this man who overheard Jinwoo's plans said, wait a minute, I like your offer, but I don't understand why Judica has anything to do with destroying Nexus. We will take all of Nexus's money through gambling, said Jinwoo Sin. Then again saw the man who going to do some gambling in the plaza with the guard. But what I heard from you is that the way things work there, the dealer always wins, which means the dealer has a trick heard. All that before dare say, shit, I should have known that, but if they all use a trick, why did you tell me we will take advantage of the trick they used? Jinwoo said. Then you see this man who is all in all his chips in this gambling? You know not that gambling has one rule that everyone knows, and that rule is, if he is caught using his tricks. But suddenly there was a sound when the playzone guard was about to use his trick, heard the sound of this guard bleeding. Can you shut up? We are having a game here. Yes, if he gets caught, he will lose all his money. Here looks Park Hanjun, who jumps towards the playguard. That zone, and boom, looks to be crushed, kicking the head off the playzone guard, if you don't want to get involved in all this. But, ain't this is the only best way all the games in, will kill even the playzone branch Shin. Then show this playzone guard who was hit hard by Park Hanjun. Instantly, the man was lying right under Park Hanjun, and it was seen that it was true that this dealer used a trick that was currently discovered, because he was beaten by Park Hanjun, seeing that this man also said, you know the rules, right? If you playing with tricks, then others can take all the money. So now it's my money. But it looks like the guards showed up a lot. And they said, "What are you doing trying to ruin other people's business? Here is the role of Park Han-jun, who will take care of them." You can see the guards or the play zone bodyguards advancing to attack Park Han-jun, and the man simultaneously, but with extraordinary speed, one by one they were beaten by Park Han-jun. If the casino refused to play, and it was seen that Park Han-jun said, "Start the game," that too will be taken care of by Park Han-jun. Then the dealer appeared to say, "I will spin the ball," but suddenly hit his hand really hard. The impact caused a trick from the dealer to be caught again, who saw that pulled his hand away and said, "Play a trick again." Seeing that, it looks brave too. Very panicked and said, "Please forgive me," but boom, Tambak Park, who beat him very hard, maybe a little cruel, but we are playing fair and honest. And besides, we weren't the ones doing those cheap tricks. Right after the Sill told the main office of the Play Zone Nexus branch, one of the bodyguards was seen, who was reporting to Choi Taesu. Hearing that, said to the woman in front of him, "In a day or two, the 24th and 5th branches went bankrupt. You guys deserve to be praised." Now finally we can meet Miss Choi Seo-hyun, and we see Seo-hyun who is meeting Choi Taesu. I have my own way to win this game. After that, the woman who was beside Seo-hyun kept apologizing to Seo-hyun because she was forced to meet Seo-hyun. After that, Choi Taesu appeared, who said, "I'm sorry for this inconvenience, because already here I have things to talk about. I want to make you an offer." Hearing that, Seo-hyun's gaze seemed to become sharp, leaked. "Oh, Junwoo's plan to me and the money that he gave it to you, I'll give it 3 times as much. I'll tell you everything." When I heard that, Choi Taesu looked very surprised. Choi Taesu, who heard all that, said with a laugh that he didn't expect that this would be easy. "I really like your character, but if you intend to lie to me, you better not do it. If you take my money and lie to us, we'll surely kill you." This man was the left hand of the Nexus Play Zone branch named Charles, and the right hand of the Nexus Play Zone branch Rodriguez. But Seo-hyun, who heard that, said, "Don't worry, I didn't lie to you." After the money and deal were received, Seo-hyun did a countdown from 10 to 1, and suddenly Park Han-jun attacked the main office of Nexus Play Zone branch. Hearing that, all were shocked instantly without exception Taesu, who was very surprised. And sure enough, the Play Zone guard was seen, who was knocked over and made the door open. Seeing that, Choi Taesu immediately woke up with a very panicked face, and sure enough, Park Han-jun appeared to attack this Play Zone branch. Seeing that, Choi Taesu seemed quite surprised and saw that the guard was Park Han-jun. And behind Park Han-jun, the previous man appeared, who looked down and said, "Nexus, let's start the game." Seeing Park Han-jun, who was here, all the guards stood up to face Park Han-jun. Immediately, they all advanced simultaneously. Finish him off quickly. But Han-jun knocked them all out in one fell swoop, seeing that it was already Choi Taesu, who was very surprised. Choi Taesu then thought what I was doing here. But one of the guards was seen blown away and about to hit Choi Taesu. Choi Taesu was thinking, what should I do to deal with this crazy monster? But suddenly Park Han-jun appeared, who was in front of Choi Taesu. It was impossible for this operation to succeed, and then Park Han-jun was seen beating Choi Taesu with a very hard punch. The punch knocked Choi Taesu far enough. After that, Choi Taesu called the 2 bodyguards left and right hand from the play zone. Hearing the call, the 2 guards said, "Even kill him, if it's allowed." "Just do as you please," said Choi Taesu. That made the 2 bodyguards smile. They both opened their clothes and said, "Okay then." Then it appeared that the 2 bodyguards were behind Park Han-jun. Seeing that Choi Taesu thought it was good, "Now I can run away. I have to go from here as fast as possible." While he was busy, thought Choi Taesu with a very sweaty face. Choi Taesu always thought Charlie Rodriguez. They looked tough on the outside, but it was just to scare the bastards in here. They were just muscle freaks from the start, and sure enough, it seemed it was Park Han-jun who defeated them both in one fell swoop. Again, Choi Taesu was seen running while thinking, "Calm down, I can come this far. Not because I'm good at making moves, but I'm good at using money and people's power, like I have been able to step on strong people all this time." But Park Han-jun, that bastard, can't be underestimated like that. And you can see Choi Taesu, who has left the play zone, the 2 bodyguards who have been battered after being taught by Park Han-jun, and then Seo-hyun looks stylish. So Choi Taesu had run away from this place. Park Han-jun just stared out with a very sharp gaze, but after that, he returned to show Junwoo, who said Choi Taesu managed to run. He even ran like a mouse. Junwoo then said, "First of all, you worked hard, and when the time comes, I will give more information. So wait." He won't be long to hear all that. Park Han-jun turned and said, "Okay, I understand there will be people who very stubborn, but no matter what happens, I will definitely get rid of you," said Jinwoo. "Even if you run like a mouse, how can you escape?" Choi Taesu looked annoyed and was talking to someone wearing glasses who said, "It's embarrassing, but it's a wise decision." Hearing that Choi Taesu said the truth against monsters won't be enough. Just like that. I have to use an easier way. Is everything done? Who do you think I am? Then it was shown Park Han-jun, who was being followed by a woman who was holding a knife. After that, when it was seen that the woman was attacking Park Han-jun, but of course she could be easily parried. Seeing this woman, Park Han-jun thought this sloppy was not like Nexus. And this woman was seen who said, "Do you have eyes in the back of your head?" But suddenly saw someone who was preparing to hit Park Han-jun with his stick from behind. The man immediately hit Han-jun saying, "My 50 million won." But Park Han-jun was seen parrying the attack using his hand. It turned out that the attack almost hit this woman. Fortunately, there was Park Han-jun's hand holding it. But after that, when Park Han-jun was seen stabbing the man's face using this iron baseball bat, the man immediately fell from the impact. After that, Park Han-jun said to this woman, "I need an explanation." You can see the woman showing Park Han-jun's photo on her cell phone. This woman then thanks, "Sorry, but there is your bounty on the gambling site. The bounty on this gambling site must be the work of Choi Taesu. After that, I saw several more people coming. I found it. Park Han-jun. This is the time to change our lives. We will still get money if we even get hit by him," said the crowd of people who were chasing Park Han-jun. Looking at those people, Park Han-jun thought most of them were just ordinary people. You can see Choi Taesu and Ko saying that even the experiment never ends. They are very active. Actually, I was worried that maybe it wouldn't be this crowded. It turns out that many people are crazy about money. But I'm now worrying about your bankruptcy because all your expenses are unnatural. Says, among many things I've experienced, do you know why I make money, gamblers? Don't gamble because it will change you, to hear people who help you. If there is a leader of our company, just say you give him 2 billion money. If he kills someone, what is he gonna kill that guy? No, haha. You gotta look at that guy's face then. But losing money on gambling is different. 2 billion for those bastards can make them not think about their lives. They've all lost their minds just for the sake of luxury, and I'm the one who listened to them. Again, Park Han-jun was seen, who was quite surprised to see a boy who was also chasing him. Park Han-jun didn't beat the boy, and instead avoided the boy's attack. If we can open the door, like this. But suddenly a person appeared from the top of the car holding the knife, but without the village of Park Han-jun had jumped at him using the temperature of the object stone, and Pum made the man get back into the car in garden unit. After that, it was shown Jinwoo, who called, "Park Han-jun. Are you okay? I just heard your situation now. I will send someone, he will come soon." But Park Han-jun, who was fighting instead, said to Jinwoo, "No need." Then that look for Choi Taesu's location now also understood. After that, Park Han-jun turned off his cell phone and saw Junwoo's expression changed. Said to the person next to him, "Manager, gather people." You can see the ongoing battle between Park Han-jun and the bounty hunters because there are too many of them. Park Han-jun didn't want to waste time and ran away from this place. Indeed, what does it matter? Who is he? We just need to finish him off, said the man who was chasing him. Catch him. He said someone who was slashing but could be avoided by Park Han-jun. After that, he saw Park Han-jun, who was going to enter a room. Park Han-jun passed by someone who was silent, saw Park Han-jun after Park Han-jun, through this man also called, and he said Park Han-jun came in after that immediately. The door to the room that Park Han-jun entered was closed. Then a voice sounded. "Where are you going in a hurry? Stop running and playing with us." It turns out that there are so many thugs waiting for Park Han-jun's arrival at this place to see these thugs holding guns. Park Han-jun even thought whether he used ordinary people to lure me here, huh? They must be Nexus. Immediately saw Park Han-jun's expression changed and prepared as he said, "To think this is the first time I'm happy to see Nexus." You can see Park Han-jun beating them all one by one with his fists, then jumping, holding the lamp and kicking them one by one. After that, jumping on one of the men and going to beat him. Then the clan beats the man and makes him lie on the floor instantly. Very quickly, Park Han-jun manages to paralyze. There are so many thugs, seeing that their comrades are quite panicked. Damn, who is he? Actually, he must not be human. Look, he can still stand straight and see Park Han-jun, who will start to react. But suddenly Jin-woo calls back. I find Choi's location. Taesu. Han-jun heard that. Park Han-jun immediately got ready and said, I will go there now. Seeing Park Han-jun, who was going to come forward suddenly, these men were very scared. Bastard, I don't want to fight him. Don't push me, bitch, but apparently Park Han-jun just passed them. Of course he didn't want to fight the people who were already scared, but suddenly Park Han-jun glanced at something and he said it must be only a moment. It turns out that what Park Han-jun saw was the CCTV in front of him that was monitoring him. And sure enough, Choi Taesu and his partner were also monitoring Park Han-jun from the CCTV. Yes, that's really a very angry look. This is just the beginning. I believe that 10 more times you can take him down. This is the end of the legend of Park Han-jun. Then next, why don't you get rid of Jun-woo too? Power and money are proven to be more powerful than using muscles, right? Hearing that, immediately Choi Taesu smiled and he said, You are smart, you are, I will promote. All right then, let's start. Let's see. Immediately what appears on the screen is the face of Jin-woo. What is this when it's ready? It turns out that because of this, I like you said Choi Taesu, but suddenly, Choi Taesu's colleague was quite panicked. Not me did this. Didn't you do it? Then who? But suddenly a voice, I found you, rat bastard. That was the laugh from Jin-woo. He took over all control of the server. Our computer completely shut down. But heard Jun-woo say, It's useless, your security sucks, we can hack everything, you made a big mistake, asshole. I will repay everything you did to me. If you do dirty things, I will do the same thing, Jin-woo said. And immediately appeared bounty from Choi Taesu, which was written 2 billion won. Back to Jin-woo, who said, Now we change positions to see the bounty that appeared instantly. Choi Taesu was quite panicked. Back to Park Han-jun, who was beating up the Krokos who tried to block him. What's going on? Our site was hacked, bounty. It changed to Taesu. Instantly everyone ran scared. Damn, Nexus is definitely over, Choi Taesu said. Damn it, how did all this happen? But suddenly heard someone breaking down Taesu's door. Come out, damn it. Did they also change their mind? Said Choi Taesu. Jin-woo took all the money. Yes, Hyung, after that, the two of them ran while saying, Let's go leave first from this place. But you can see Choi Taesu's subordinates chasing him instead. Choi Taesu here quickly chases him. After that, you see Choi Taesu who looks panicked while thinking, I have to get out of this place immediately. I'm finished if caught by them. I just need making sites again, and making them my slaves again. Then I can climb to the top. But suddenly it looks like someone who was kicked by something saw. It looked like Choi Taesu, who was quite panicked, and saw Jin-woo, who hit Choi Taesu hard enough. But suddenly a sound was heard. Who called him? And it turned out that the one who called Choi Taesu was Park Han-jun, who was already in front of him. Why did you rush? Said Park Han-jun. Knowing the award that was in front of him instantly, there was no heart from being a source of pounding very quickly after that. Choi Taesu very frantically pointed at Park Han-jun. Wait, if you do this, your life will be ruined. I am the most popular Choi Taesu. With just one phone call I can make you hated by everyone. But suddenly Han-jun was seen jumping and kicking Choi Taesu's face with anger. Choi Taesu was immediately knocked out and hit the wall quite hard. Whatever. But first you need to be beaten up first. After that, Park Han-jun's punch smashed the wall. But it was seen that Choi Taesu, who managed to escape, was a crazy bastard screaming very loudly for help. However, he saw Park Han-jun, who was already behind him, and pulled his hair. After that, hit Choi Taesu to the floor hard. Wait a second, I can totally destroy your life, you know. I'll make sure you will have the most miserable life if you beat me. Your father will also feel it. You will beat people, and everyone around you will suffer the consequences. But suddenly Han-jun again kicks Choi Taesu in the face really hard. In this situation, Choi Taesu thinks, damn, this hurts so much. This bastard is not affected by my threat not being hurt at all. What about money? Wait, how much you get from Jun-woo? I will give more, said Choi Taesu. But again, Park Han-jun beat him very hard again. Seeing that with a very sad expression, Choi Taesu said, I will pay you 3 times as much, but again taught by Park Han-jun. Well, 4 times, however. Park Han-jun continued to beat Choi Taesu, who was lying on the floor. After that, with all his might, Taesu tried to run on all fours with a bruised expression. Taesu turned and said, Use your brain. Does the brain understand human language? Think again what can be lost from you. You are not an animal, but you can see the expression of Park Han-jun, which is very terrible. Sorry, What I meant earlier was actually, please forgive me, this hurts really bad, said Choi Taesu, then lay down in front of Park Hanjun. But suddenly Park Hanjun was seen who said, damn, I still have to hit you again, even though he will let me go whatever Hanjun's words are going to go. However, it turns out that Choi Taesu's previous subordinates were chasing Choi Taesu because of his bounty. I found him Choi Taesu. They were all fighting over each other. He was 2 billion won. How are you going to pay me? Shut up, you bastard. I heard that if I don't have to pay you anymore because you have a bounty on your website, all we need to give you now is all of our pain so far. What we're looking for right now is that 2 billion won. Hurry up and die. Even Choi Taesu can only accept the situation while people continue to beat him. Moving on to the website, you can see that the photo of the bounty has been completed, meaning that Choi Taesu is dead. After that, he moved to someone who said, Choi Taesu needs 14 weeks to recover. We have arrested all the SNS accounts he used and everyone who helped him. Thank you for your hard work, Jinwoo said. Because you are now, Kim Cheon-soo will definitely go crazy. Meanwhile at the hospital, someone was seen visiting Choi Taesu, and it turned out that the one who visited him was Kim Cheon-soo. Cheon-soo then said, you're not pretending to be sleeping right. Cheon-soo, you're here. Thank you for visiting me. I'm fine. I did have a lot of injuries, but this is not so bad, Taesu said. By the way, what about my money? About that I'm really sorry. It's my fault. But suddenly Kim Cheon-soo was seen holding Choi Taesu's hand very hard. It immediately made Choi Taesu feel excruciating pain. Why are you apologizing? You don't just give up, do you? You have to return my money, said Kim Cheon-soo. Then it was shown someone who was about to be discharged from the hospital and he said, thank you for your help. I can recover faster. This is my job, said this nurse. Don't fight anymore. Okay, live properly from now on. It turns out he is Kim Dong-yeon, who has finished his recovery period in hospital. The scene moves to see Kim Dong-yeon, who is walking after being discharged from the hospital. But suddenly on the way he sees a group of thugs who are torturing someone. Here you can see this person who has apologized. Since yesterday you also said that, said the thug. The thugs immediately opened the man's mouth and were about to hammer him. Looks like you need to be disciplined, said the thugs here. It seemed Kim Dong-hyun who only saw the torture that the thugs did to the man. After that, suddenly Kim Dong-yeon was seen seeing his very muscular legs. The man started to be tortured by the thugs with a hammer. If you move a lot, your whole upper jaw can be pulled out. But suddenly Kim Dong-hyun said to them, what are you guys doing? Saw Kim Dong-hyun immediately, this man came closer and said, why is this bastard even warming up? Hey, red hair, can't you listen to me? But suddenly the man was kicked very hard by Kim Dong-hyun, seeing that the other colleagues immediately very surprised. Hey, beat him, you bastard! After that you see Kim Dong-yeon who said his flexibility is only 80%. Then you see the two guys' comrades who came forward simultaneously and are about to attack Kim Dong-yeon. We are Nexus, you bastard. But immediately Kim Dong-yeon kicks this guy is very fast. His speed is 70%, seeing his partner who is very easy to beat immediately. They're quite panicked. What's with that bastard? But suddenly Kim Dong-yeon is seen who has been above him and is about to hit him. After that a very hard kick makes the man, it immediately collapsed. And it was shown that Kim Dong-yeon beat the three of them in just one attack. Kim Dong-yeon then said, it seems like it's still long. 240 kilograms doesn't seem enough. I need to lift more weights, said Kim Dong-yeon, seeing Kim Dong-yeon who was leaving. Instantly this thug will get up and say, I don't know him. Because he cut his hair? Damn, he is Kim Dong-yeon, so the rumor is true. Yes, said this thug, Park Han-jun and Kim Dong-yeon, the legendary duo has regrouped. Flashback to 2 years ago where Park Han-jun and Kim Dong-yeon were known as a very good duo. A legend was made during the war against Nexus, even attracted all the attention of everyone in the whole country. Now Incheon is the beginning of legend. Their name at that time exploded once. There were them who are interested, there are those who are afraid and angry, and even for someone it is a hope. A white-haired person was seen climbing the stairs while climbing the stairs. There was a fight going on. This man then reached the top of the building he was climbing, and it turned out that this man was Kim Cheon-soo. Shown someone being met by Kim Cheon-soo said, I'm waiting for a handsome face. Do you think the rumors are true that Park Han-jun has returned? Asked the man. Yes, that's true, Kim Cheon-soo said. This stood up and said the reason why you came here and looking for me means Park Han-jun was still moving now, and introduced that this man's name is Baek Moon-young. After that, he said he needs someone to match him. I still can't believe this, Cheon-soo. Do you remember what happened 2 years ago? I can't remember, Kim Cheon-soo said. After that's Baek. Moon-young said, what now you're going to use me to catch Park Han-jun and throw me away? But now Park Han-jun is back again. You're looking for me. You think I'm a coward now. Ha, heard that? Said there are some things that can't be forced. This time you just do it right, and I will grant you whatever you want. Hearing that, Baek Moon-young laughed and said, whether it is, even if I want to become the owner of the Nexus. Baek Moon-young's words suddenly made the situation become quiet. But suddenly there was an intense aura radiating from Kim Cheon-soo, and Kim Cheon-soo said, Baek Moon-young, don't joke, you can handle things like that. Hearing that, Baek Moon-young said, you just play games every day, but apparently that look is still there. I'm kidding. Take it easy. You're not here to ask for help, but to give orders. If the boss gives an order, then I have to carry it out right. Just wait a moment, I'll definitely finish it this time, and when I'm done, you pay for the drinks, I understand. Hearing that, Kim Cheon-soo also let Baek Moon-young go to deal with Park Han-jun. Moving at night in a building, here we see Baek Moon-young sitting while thinking Kim Cheon-soo will come here. Does he think I can win against Park Han-jun, huh? Of course it's impossible, there's no way that bastard believes me, right? What did this devil want? Actually get rid of me and Park Han-jun at the same time. But it turns out that a man is torturing another man. What should I do? I have bad prejudice today. Seeing that, Baek Moon-young said, you still do it if you don't get money from him. Just kill him. About that, he said he will give the finance, but I have a bad feeling, and this man called Choi Ju-young, left hand of Baek Moon-young. Ju-young then said, I doubt this bastard will give money that easy. Even brought him here. I just thought I wasn't enough. But suddenly a voice said, why do you care so much anyway, you son of a bitch, hey bastard? Just kill it quickly. Don't want to do it, just give it to me. I'll kill whoever it is, and this man named Lee Jung-yong, Baek Moon-young's right hand too. Jung-yong then said, what are you talking about with Kim Cheon-soo? Are we going to kill Park Han-jun? Do I call the kids now? Hearing that, Baek Moon-young stood up and said as usual, Park Han-jun, it's a bug, but I'm quite happy to see his face after this, but he's not the type to beat through numbers, so let's do it our way. Starting from the farthest one first, then it looks like Moon-young who had killed this prisoner, hearing Baek Moon-young's words. Both of his right hands smiled very scary after that. It was shown by Baek Moon-young who thought, just wait a little longer, Kim Cheon-soo. After I take care of Park Han-jun, it will be your turn, Kim Cheon-soo. Then it was shown Seo-hyun who was making a story with Cake, while saying Kim Dong-hyun during your discharge from the hospital. We hope to work with you better to the bone. Seeing that, Jinwoo said, what are you doing? Can't you see I made an Insta story, not for you though, but for Dong-hyun's discharge from the hospital? Our next target has been decided. But it looks like Seo-hyun is actually saying, we should be on vacation, and the bastards want us to work instead. Give us the right to hear what your goals are saying. Isn't revenge the best thing to do on the day? Holiday. But Seo-hyun instead said, the worst CEO this year, the company is not fair. We will go on strike. But Jinwoo said, I will cut your salary. Am I just relaxing, boss? Come to hear this conversation, Kim Dong-hyun said to Park Han-jun. Park Han-jun, these people, can we believe them? Heard that, Park Han-jun said, we have the same enemy. Isn't this enough? After that it was seen Jinwoo who said, the point is, I will still cut your salary if, but the one who received the call. Hello. But suddenly his expression changed. Was Incheon attacked? On the other hand, at the hospital, someone was seen who was injured, and accompanied by a colleague. And it turned out that the injured person was a colleague of Nam In-soo, the leader of the Incheon gang. But suddenly Jinwoo was seen who came and said to Nam In-soo. What happened to see Jinwoo said, why did you come here? There is nothing for you to worry about here. I will take care of it myself. After that, Nam In-soo left. But Park Han-jun and the others were silent. But suddenly a voice from Nam In-soo's colleague said, Park Han-jun help you. I heard that Jinwoo said, what's up, pig? You pretended to sleep. It turns out, sorry, I know this is selfish, but I don't want Nam In-soo to fight anymore. Even though I told him not to go, I'm sure he will definitely go and looking for that person. Hearing that, Jinwoo said, of course I understand. Then this must be Nexus, right? Who this time? But suddenly Kim Dong-hyun said it must be the work of Baek Moon-young. I can recognize his work, said Kim Dong-hyun. By looking at the wound on the leg of Nam Insu's partner, because the one who crushed my knee was Baek Moon-young. Somewhere seen Kim Cheon-soo, who was having a meeting with someone, and he said, "Thank you for coming. Thank you for your hard work, CEO. Everything went smoothly. That way we can start our plans starting next week. There will be lots of children. High schools from all over the country are playing our game. And because your company's 2 games ranked first and second, 15 million won our profit became 80 million won." Hearing that, immediately the CEO was shocked. "Is it perhaps very important that we have such a thing as trust?" "All right, if so, Mr. Kim Cheon-soo. In one place you can see Kim Cheon-soo, who said games are quite interesting. We've sent them all over the country, so there won't be any more problems. Yes, that's your specialty. So I'll leave this to you. Then enough talking about money. I heard about Park Han-jun. Are you going to use Baek Moon-young? And this guy's name is Kim Lion too." Kim Lion then said, "If you use that bastard, it means there will be a lot of dirty work going on. What if playing this dirty we are in the jungle? Now hyena will only eat rotten meat, but even if hyena eat rotten meat, it won't change the food chain," heard Kim Cheon-soo said. "So let's just enjoy the show, right?" Hearing that, Kim Leon said that a lion would never care about dirty hyenas. Then I saw Kim Dong-hyun, who was practicing really hard. Seeing that, Seo-hyun said, "You're even sweating. Hey, let's make a video together." Hearing that, Kim Dong-hyun immediately refused. "No, I heard that Baek Moon-young has returned to America. Not many know about him. So I need your help," Seo-hyun said. "Tell me about him." Hearing that, Kim Dong-hyun just kept quiet, then went back to lifting weights. But suddenly Kim Dong-hyun said, "He is a genius among all the people I have ever met. In my entire life, there are only 3 people I can call a genius in a fight. That must have been Park Han-jun, Kim Cheon-soo, and trash human Baek Moon-young. 2 years ago, when Park Han-jun and I still controlled the entire territory, no one else dared to try to occupy our area, not even Nexus. But after a few months, it was seen that comrades from Kim Dong-hyun, who said, 'Dong-hyun, did you hear the news that there was a new student? He was from America and beat up all the 3rd graders on his first day?' Hearing that, he said, 'On the first day, wasn't he from Kangmun Baek Moon-young High School coming to our area?' And since then, things have changed completely. Baek Moon-young controls all the schools in our area. He makes the schools fight to determine the ranking system. Then he will torture the school with the lowest rank. He does it for no reason. Again, seen someone who entered the classroom from Kim Dong-hyun. Seeing that, Kim Dong-hyun was quite surprised. 'What happened to you, Dong-hyun? That bastard, don't underestimate him.' Immediately, Kim Dong's colleague was lying in front of him. But on the back of his colleague's shirt it was written, 'Kim Dong-hyun was at the park at 8 p.m. Seeing that, immediately the expression of Kim Dong-hyun turned very angry. Kim Dong-hyun and one of his colleagues were seen waiting for the arrival of Baek Moon-young. Because the clock was already past 8 p.m., his colleague said, "Dong-hyun, let's just go. The coward doesn't seem to be coming. Let's just wait." Suddenly saw someone lying on the back of Kim Hyun. On the clothes of this man it says, "Baek Moon-young is cunning. I can't find him, and he always beat up people in my school secretly." Slowly he started to reduce the amount of strength, as if in a situation. Suddenly there was a sound that 8 people had been defeated. Was Kim Dong-hyun actually scared because it could never catch him? And when I was at his limit here, I saw Kim Dong-hyun, who was very angry. He appeared in front of me, and I saw Kim Dong-hyun, who was entered the base of Baek Moon-young. And that's when my destiny with him started.